Sign these divorce papers, Zainab. Right here. Right now. At your mother's grave. The words cut through the funeral prayers like a knife through flesh. 73 mourners froze. The pastor's mouth hung open. And Zainab, 6 months pregnant, tears still wet on her cheeks, turned to face the man she'd called husband for 3 years. What happened next would destroy everything she thought she knew about love, about family, and about the mother they were burying. The Harmattan wind whipped through Gudu Cemetery in Abuja, carrying dust that stung like tiny needles. But Zainab couldn't feel it. She couldn't feel anything except the weight of her mother's absence crushing her chest. Mama Iban's casket sat there, simple wood, white lace, surrounded by lilies that were already wilting in the Nigerian heat. The woman who'd raised her, who'd washed clothes for rich families 12 hours a day, who'd never missed a school meeting despite taking 3 buses to get there, that woman was gone. And now. This. Sigan, Zainab's voice came out broken, barely a whisper. What are you doing? Her husband stood there in his expensive black agbada, the one that cost more than most people's rent, holding an envelope like it was a weapon. His face showed nothing. No warmth. No recognition of the life growing inside her belly. No memory of the vows he'd made under that jacaranda tree just 3 years ago. I said I want a divorce. His voice was icy. And you need to sign these papers. Now. But before we continue this shocking story, don't forget to subscribe to Folktales by Amara and turn on that notification bell so you never miss our stories of resilience, justice, and the power of African women. Trust me, you're going to want to hear how this ends. The cemetery went silent. Not the respectful silence of a funeral. The horrified silence of 73 people watching a man destroy his pregnant wife at her mother's burial. Someone's prayer book hit the ground with a thud. Zainab's Aunt Maria made a sound like a wounded animal, half gasp, half cry. My mother. Zainab's hand moved to her swollen belly, feeling the baby kick as if sensing her distress. My mother just died, Sigan. They haven't even lowered her into the ground yet. That's exactly why I'm doing it now. The satisfaction in his eyes made her stomach turn. This wasn't spontaneous. This was calculated. While you're weak, he continued, his jaw tight. While you can't fight back. My lawyer said this is the best time, you'll sign anything just to make the pain stop. The cruelty of it stole her breath. But that wasn't even the worst part. Because right then, emerging from behind a mausoleum like she'd been waiting for her entrance, came Bisola. Bisola moved through the cemetery like she owned it, her black designer dress probably worth more than everything in Zainab's closet combined. Her makeup was perfect, too perfect for a funeral. Her smile was sympathetic in that razor-sharp way that said she'd already won. I'm so sorry for your loss, Bisola said, her voice dripping with fake honey. Her manicured hand touched Sigan's arm. Possessive. Claiming. But Sigan and I, we're in love. We have been for months. Months. While Zainab was planning their anniversary. While she was picking baby names. While she was washing his clothes and cooking his favorite egusi soup, he'd been with her. It's better you know now, Bisola continued, than waste more time pretending. Pretending. 3 years of marriage reduced to one word. You're leaving me for her. Zainab's voice cracked. At my mother's funeral. Sigan's face hardened. I'm leaving you because you were always temporary. Temporary. Your mother was nobody. A washerwoman who cleaned other people's dirt. You have no family name, no connections, no value beyond being pleasant. Each word was a deliberate wound. Bisola understands my world. Her father owns Platinum Industries. She can actually help my career. Then Bisola delivered the final blow with a smile, oh, and I'm pregnant too. The difference is, my baby will have a father who actually wants to be there. Pregnant. The word exploded in Zainab's mind like a bomb. She looked past them, past Sigen's cold face, past Bisola's victory smile, and saw them. Mr. and Mrs. Oledil. Sigen's parents. Standing 20 feet away under a black umbrella that served no purpose. It wasn't raining. His mother wore a smile that made Zainab's skin crawl. Not just satisfaction. Triumph. Like she'd been waiting for this moment, planning it, savoring it. His father nodded approvingly. Finally, his expression said. Finally, our son is doing the right thing. This hadn't just happened. This had been orchestrated. They'd waited for her weakest moment, her mother's burial, and turned it into a stage for her complete destruction. You planned this, Zainab whispered, the truth hitting her like ice water. All of you. You planned this. Mrs. Oledil actually laughed. A small, delicate sound that carried across the cemetery. Sign the papers, Sigen demanded, thrusting the envelope at her. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Zainab's hands shook as she took the envelope. The weight of it, this paper that would end her marriage, felt heavier than her mother's casket. She looked down at the grave where they'd soon lower Mama Ibn. The woman who'd never owned a car but always got her to school on time. Who wore the same 3 wrappers to church every Sunday but never missed a service. Who lived in a 2-room flat in Kubwa but somehow always had enough to share. If only you could see this, Mama. If only you could tell me what to do. But then she remembered. 3 days ago. The hospital. Mama's eyes, sharp despite the weakness in her body, boring into hers with an intensity that had scared her. My daughter, Mama had whispered, her voice like paper. There are things I never told you. Things I protected you from. But when I'm gone. She'd gripped Zainab's hand with surprising strength. Go to First Unity Bank in Wus. Ask for Mr. Olanrowaju. Tell him Ibn sent you. Her next words had seemed strange then. Now they felt like prophecy. And remember, when people show you their true face, don't cry. Plan. Zainab signed the papers. Right there, at her mother's graveside, with the red African earth waiting to swallow the woman who'd raised her. Because fighting now would change nothing. Sigen had already left her in every way that mattered. His heart, his loyalty, his promises, all gone. The pen scratched across the paper. Her signature looked broken. Shaky. Like her. Good. Sigen snatched the papers back, no gentleness in the gesture. My lawyer will handle the rest. You can keep the flat in Kubwa. I've already moved in with Bisola at her penthouse in Metoma. Already moved in. He'd been gone before he'd even told her. He turned to leave, no goodbye, no acknowledgement of their past, no concern for their child, and Bisola linked her arm through his. But she couldn't resist one last look back. One last smile that said, I won. The cemetery workers began lowering Momo's casket into the ground. The ropes creaked. The wood scraped against earth. And the sound of dirt hitting wood, thud, 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 became the only sound in Zainab's world. The mourners left quickly, uncomfortable with what they'd witnessed. Some offered meaningless condolences that felt like insults. Others avoided her eyes completely, like divorce was contagious. Soon, she was alone. Just her unborn child, and the fresh grave of the only person who'd ever truly loved her. She fell to her knees in the red dirt, not caring about her dress, not caring about anything anymore. Mama, she whispered to the freshly turned earth. They waited until you were gone. They waited until I had no one. The baby kicked, reminding her that wasn't quite true. She placed both hands on her belly, feeling her child move, and something shifted inside her. Not healing. Not hope. Something darker. Something with teeth. I don't know what you left me at that bank, Mama. I don't know what Mr. Olanrowaju has. But whatever it is. She stood slowly, dirt clinging to her black dress, tears cutting tracks through the dust on her face. Whatever it is, I promise you, they will regret this day. Every single one of them. The wind picked up again, swirling red dust around her like a message from the grave. And somewhere in that wind, she could have sworn she heard her mother's voice. Don't cry, my daughter. Plan. The flat in cobweb felt like a tomb. Every corner held a ghost. The couch where Sigen used to hold her while they watched Nollywood movies. The kitchen where she taught herself to make his mother's banga soup recipe, practicing until it was perfect. The bedroom where they'd spend lazy Sunday mornings planning their future. All of it, lies. Zainab sat on the floor of what would have been the nursery, surrounded by half-assembled baby furniture that Sigen had promised to finish next weekend. Always next weekend. Her phone hadn't stopped buzzing for 3 days. Buzz. Another message. She didn't need to look to know what it said. They all said the same thing. Sigen's sister, stop being difficult and sign the property transfer papers. You're embarrassing our family. Embarrassing them. Mrs. Oladil, my son deserves happiness. Accept your situation with grace. Some women simply aren't meant for certain levels of society. Certain levels. Even Sigen's lawyer, Mrs. Oladil, failure to respond to our property settlement request within 7 days will result in legal action. Mrs. Oladil. They still called her that, like twisting the knife. But the worst messages. The ones from friends. Former friends. Zainab, I heard what happened. Was there someone else? On your side, I mean. Maybe if you dressed better. His mother never liked you. You should have tried harder. At least you have the baby. That's something, right? Each message felt like another slap. Another reminder that in their eyes, this was somehow her fault. She hadn't been enough. Hadn't tried hard enough. Hadn't been what enough. Then there was Instagram. Bisola had posted 17 times in 3 days. 17. Each post was perfectly curated torture. A selfie in Sigen's car, caption, when God removes the wrong person, he makes room for the right one, 2 hearts. A photo of her baby bump, which looked suspiciously like strategic posing, building our little empire, baby medium skin tone sparkles. A couple's photo at an expensive restaurant Sigen had never taken Zainab to, with my king. Sometimes you have to take what you deserve, crown. Take what you deserve. Like Sigen was a prize she'd won. The comments were worse. You two look perfect together. He looks so happy now. Some men just need the right woman to shine. Zainab threw her phone across the room. It hit the wall with a satisfying crack. On the 4th day, something changed. Zainab woke up on the couch. She couldn't sleep in their bed anymore, with her mother's voice echoing in her head. Go to First Unity Bank. Ask for Mr. Olanrewaju. She'd been so lost in her grief, so drowning in the betrayal, she'd forgotten. No. Not forgotten. Been afraid. Afraid that whatever Mama left her would be nothing. Some small savings. Maybe enough for baby supplies. What if that's all it was? What if her last hope was just another disappointment? But as she sat there in her rumpled funeral dress, she hadn't changed in 4 days, something snapped, she was already at rock bottom. What did she have to lose? She forced herself to shower. To put on clean clothes. To look human even though she felt like a ghost. Then she went to her mother's room. Mama's room was exactly as she'd left it. Simple. Clean. 3 wrappers hanging in the closet. A King James Bible on the nightstand. A faded photo of Zainab's graduation day, Mama smiling like she'd won the lottery. Zainab sat on the bed, breathing in the faint scent of her mother's powder, and opened the Bible. She wasn't sure what she was looking for. A sign. A message. Permission to give up. But as she flipped through the pages, something fell out. An envelope. Cream-colored, expensive paper. Nothing like anything Mama would buy. Her name was written on it in her mother's careful handwriting, "For my Zainab, open only when I'm gone." Zainab's hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a letter. And a small silver key. "My precious daughter. If you're reading this, I'm gone. And knowing the world we live in, knowing the kind of man you married, you're probably in pain. Knowing the kind of man you married. Mama had known. I wanted to tell you so many times. Every time I saw you smile at him. Every time I watched his mother look at you like that. Every time I saw him answer calls he shouldn't be taking. But you loved him. And sometimes we have to let our children learn their own lessons. But I'm your mother. And even from the grave, I protect what's mine." The key opens box 881 at First Unity Bank in Wus. "Mr. Olanrewaju has been waiting for you. He'll explain everything. But Zainab, my daughter, my heart, prepare yourself. Your mother was not who you thought she was. Your father was not who I said he was. And the Oladilis, they are not just cruel. They are dangerous. I spent 2 years watching them. Collecting things. Preparing for the day they would show their true faces. That day has come. Now it's time for you to show them yours. Remember what I taught you, the patient dog eats the fattest bone. But also remember this, sometimes the patient dog is actually a lion waiting for the perfect moment to roar. Your moment is coming. Oh my love. Mama. P.S. When you see the amount, don't faint. You need to stay conscious for what comes next. The amount. What amount? Zainab read the letter 3 more times, her heart pounding harder with each word. Mama had been watching the Oladilis. Collecting things. For 2 years. The woman who took 3 buses to work had been running some kind of investigation. Nothing made sense. But that key felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds in her palm. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door, then stopped. If the Oladilis were dangerous, if Mama had spent 2 years preparing for something, maybe she should be careful. She went back to Mama's room and grabbed the old woman's phone. She'd kept it charged, unable to let that last piece of her mother die. There were no messages. No missed calls. But there was a recording app. With 127 saved files. All labeled with dates and initials, SO, meeting, MO, phone call, BB, conversation. SO, Sigan Oladil. MO, Mrs. Oladil. BB, Bisola Bennett. Her mother had been recording them. Zainab clicked on one from 6 months ago. Her mother's voice, faint but clear. Testing, testing. May 15th, overheard at the Oladil family dinner. Then Mrs. Oladil's voice, that culture tone that always made Zainab feel small. She's too simple for this family. Thank God she hasn't gotten pregnant yet. It will be easier to get rid of her without a child involved. Get rid of her. Mr. Oladil's response, Sigan knows what he needs to do. The Bennett family connection is too valuable to pass up. Platinum Industries could transform our entire operation. Operation. Then Sigan's voice. Her husband's voice. The voice that used to whisper, "I love you" every night. "I know, Mama. I'm working on it." Bisola is receptive. Very receptive. And Zainab won't fight. She's too weak for that. Too weak. The recording ended. Zainab sat in her mother's room, listening to recording after recording. 6 months of evidence that her marriage had been dead long before the cemetery. 6 months of plans and schemes and calculations. 6 months of our mother knowing and saying nothing, just quietly collecting ammunition. In one recording from 3 months ago, Bisola's voice was clear. The pregnancy announcement should come right after her mother dies. Maximum emotional damage. She'll be too broken to fight for anything. They'd planned to announce the pregnancy at the funeral. They'd weaponized her mother's death. But it was the last recording that stopped her heart. Dated 1 week ago. 3 days before Mama died. Mrs. Oladile's voice, "Is everything arranged?" An unknown male voice, "Yes, Ma. The substance is untraceable. It will look like a heart attack." Good. The washerwoman is getting too curious. And with her gone, Zainab will be completely alone. Vulnerable. Easy to dispose of. Dispose of. Like trash. Her mother's death wasn't natural. They'd killed her. Zainab was still processing the murder confession when her phone buzzed. A text from Sigan. "Please stop being difficult and sign the property settlement papers. Let's end this cleanly. For the baby's sake. For the baby's sake." The baby he'd abandoned. The baby he'd left for another woman's fake pregnancy. She stared at the message for a long moment. Then, for the first time in 4 days, she smiled. Not a happy smile. Something darker. Something that would have scared Sigan if he'd seen it. She typed back 4 words. "You have no idea." Then she grabbed the silver key, her mother's phone with all those recordings, and headed for First Unity Bank. First Unity Bank in Woos was all glass and marble and intimidation. The kind of place where security guards looked at your shoes before your face. Zainab had never been inside. People like her, people whose mothers washed clothes, didn't have accounts at First Unity Bank. Or so she thought. "I'm here to see Mr. Olanrewaju," she told the receptionist, trying to sound like she belonged. "My mother, Ibn Adisa, sent me." The receptionist's perfectly made-up face changed instantly. Her eyes went wide. "Mrs. Adisa. Oh my God. One moment, Ma. One moment." She practically ran to the phone. Zainab heard her agent whisper, "Sir, she's here." "Yes, sir." "Ibn Adisa's daughter." "Yes, sir." "Right away, sir." Within 30 seconds, 3 bank officials appeared. "Mrs. Zainab," the lead one said, bowing slightly. "We've been expecting you. Please, follow me." They led her to a private elevator. Press the button for the top floor that required a special key. The top floor. Where the billionaires banked. The elevator opened to a hallway that looked more like a 5-star hotel than a bank. Original art on the walls. Persian rugs. A secretary who stood up when she saw them coming. "Mr. Olanrewaju is waiting," she said, opening massive wooden doors. The office beyond was the size of Zainab's entire flat. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Abuja's skyline. A desk that probably cost more than she'd ever earned. And behind it, a man in his 60s with eyes that had seen everything and been surprised by nothing. Until now. "Miss Zainab," he stood, and there was something in his voice, respect. Fear. "I'm so sorry about your mother. She was extraordinary. Extraordinary. Her washerwoman mother." "I don't understand," Zainab said, sinking into a chair that was softer than her bed. "My mother cleaned houses. She took buses. She was nobody special." Mr. Olanrewaju smiled sadly. "Your mother was the most special woman I've ever met. And the smartest. She was also the richest client this bank has ever served." The room spun. What? He pulled out a folder thicker than a phone book. "Your mother, Ibn Adisa, has accounts totaling 2.8 billion naira." Zainab heard the words. But they didn't make sense. That's impossible. "We lived in Kobwa. She washed clothes. She was playing a role," Mr. Olanrewaju said gently. "Hiding in plain sight. Protecting you. waiting for the right moment. He opened the folder. And now, Miss Zainab, that moment has come. Bank statements. Property deeds. Investment portfolios. Each paper Mr. Olanrewaju pulled out was more impossible than the last. Commercial properties in Banana Island. Tech company stakes worth millions. International investments in Dubai and London. Monthly passive income of 35 million naira. The numbers blurred together. Zainab felt like she was drowning in digits. But, how? Mr. Olanrewaju pulled out one final document. This will explain everything. It was another letter from her mother. Longer this time. And the first line made Zainab's blood run cold. Your father wasn't the mechanic who died when you were 2. Your father was Senator Danladi Bello. And the Oladilis killed me because I discovered their secret, a fuel subsidy scam worth 12 billion naira. Everything you need to destroy them is in box 881. Zainab looked at the silver key in her hand. Then at Mr. Olanrewaju's grim face. Box 881, she whispered. He nodded. Your mother's final gift. Her revenge from beyond the grave. But Miss Zainab. He leaned forward. Once you open that box, there's no going back. The Oladilis will know you know. And they've killed before to protect this secret. Zainab thought about the recordings. About her mother's heart attack. About Sigan's cold face at the cemetery. She stood up. Take me to box 881. Because Mama was right. The patient dog was done waiting. It was time for the lion to roar. Your mother turned 50 million naira into 2.8 billion, and she did it while pretending to wash rich people's underwear. Mr. Olanrewaju's words hung in the air like smoke from a bomb that had just exploded. Zainab stared at the bank statements spread across his massive desk. Each zero might as well have been a slap to everything she'd believed about her life. But that's not even the most shocking part, he continued, pulling out a photograph that would change everything. It was her mother, young, beautiful, standing next to a man in an expensive suit. Senator Danladi Bello. One of the richest men in Nigeria. Her father. The walk to the vault felt like descending into another world. 3 security checkpoints. Biometric scanners. Cameras that tracked every movement. This wasn't where normal people kept their documents. This was where empires were protected. Your mother paid for the highest level of security, Mr. Olanrewaju explained as they entered a room that looked like something from a movie. She said she was protecting something worth dying for. Worth dying for. And she had died for it. Box 881 sat in the corner, larger than Zainab expected. Not a small safe deposit box. More like a filing cabinet. She inserted the silver key with trembling hands. It clicked open. And inside. Jesus Christ, Zainab breathed. Files. Hundreds of them. Each labeled with surgical precision in her mother's handwriting. Oladil fuel subsidy fraud, evidence setter. Phantom company registrations. Government bribes, audio recordings. Money laundering, by Sola's father's company. Murder conspiracy, transcript. Murder conspiracy. Zainab pulled that file out first, her hands shaking so badly she almost dropped it. Inside were photographs. Audio transcripts. Medical records. And a note from her mother. They killed before me. A journalist named David Okoro who got too close to the truth. A government auditor named Grace Adelik who asked too many questions. I was going to be next. So I made sure that if they succeeded, you would have everything you need to destroy them. Your mother knew she was going to die, Mr. Olanrewaju said quietly. She spent the last 6 months preparing this. Making sure every piece of evidence was legally obtained, properly documented, admissible in court. She knew. Zainab's voice cracked. She knew they would kill her and she didn't run. She didn't run because running would have left you vulnerable. This way, dying on her own terms, she made sure you'd be protected. Protected. By becoming a billionaire ghost. Mr. Olanrewaju pulled out another folder, this one marked beginning. Let me tell you who your mother really was. The photographs inside showed a different woman. Young Ibon in a secretary's outfit, working in a government office. Beautiful. Ambitious. Sharp. She was Senator Bello's personal secretary. Brilliant with numbers. Had a photographic memory for documents. He fell in love with her, or his version of love. A photograph of them together at a government function. His hand on her waist. Both smiling. When she got pregnant, his wife found out. Threatened to destroy her, to make sure she never worked again, to take the baby and raise it as her own. So Mama ran. She negotiated. 50 million naira to disappear. To never reveal who the father was. To raise you alone and quiet. 50 million. In 1992, that was fortune money. But your mother was smarter than anyone realized, Mr. Olanrewaju continued. She took that 50 million and started buying land in areas everyone thought were worthless. Gwagwalada before it developed. Katamp before the expansion. Uzip when it was just rocks and dust. Each property deed told a story of patience. Of vision. Of a woman playing a game no one knew she was playing. But property was just the beginning. Mr. Olanrewaju pulled out more documents. Your mother studied the market like other people study the Bible. Every night, after washing clothes all day, she'd read financial reports, analyze trends, make calculated bets. A portfolio statement showed investments that made Zainab's head spin. 15% stake in a telecommunications startup that became a billion-dollar company. Early investment in 3 banks that merged into one of Nigeria's biggest. Tech company shares bought for thousands, now worth millions. Government bonds purchased during economic crashes, now worth fortunes. She never spent a naira she didn't need to, Mr. Olanrewaju said. Lived like she was poor while building an empire. All for you. All for her. While Zainab was complaining about taking buses, her mother was worth billions. While she was embarrassed by their small flat, her mother owned buildings across Nigeria. While she was begging Sigen's family to accept her, her mother could have bought their entire bloodline. 2 years ago, Mr. Olanrewaju continued, his tone darkening, your mother discovered something while cleaning the Oladil house. She cleaned their house. Zainab was shocked. Sigen's parents let my mother clean their house. She chose to clean their house. Said she wanted to understand the family her daughter had married into. And one day, she found documents Mr. Oladil had carelessly left out. Documents about phantom fuel imports. Fake companies receiving government subsidies for fuel that never existed. Billions of naira stolen from the country. Your mother photographed everything. Then she started investigating deeper. Following paper trails. Recording conversations. Building a case that would destroy them. Why didn't she just go to the police? Mr. Olanrewaju laughed bitterly. The police. Half of them are on the Oladil payroll. No, your mother was building something different. Evidence so complete, so undeniable, that when it went public, no amount of bribes could save them. Then he pulled out a small device. A digital recorder. Your mother wore this the last time she cleaned their house. 3 days before she died. He pressed play. Mrs. Oladil's voice filled the room. The washerwoman knows something. I can see it in her eyes. The way she looks at the papers on Sigen's desk. The questions she asked about our business trips. Mr. Oladil's response, then handle it. I already have. Dr. Bamadil will make sure it looks natural. Heart attack. She's the right age. No one will question it. And the daughter? Once her mother is gone, Zainab will be broken. Sigan will divorce her at the funeral, maximum emotional damage. She'll sign anything just to make it stop. Then we can decide if she needs to be handled too. Handled. Like taking out trash. Zainab's rage was so hot it felt cold. Like ice forming in her veins. They planned everything, she whispered. The timing. The funeral. Even whether to kill me. But they made one mistake, Mr. Olanrewaju said. They thought your mother was just a washerwoman. They never imagined she'd been recording them for 2 years. There's one more thing, Mr. Olanrewaju said, pulling out a final envelope. About your father. Senator Danladi Bello. One of Nigeria's most powerful politicians. He doesn't know you exist. Your mother made sure of that. But he handed her the envelope. She saved this for you to decide what to do with. Inside was a paternity test. Already completed. 99.9% match. And a single phone number. If you ever want to reveal yourself to him, you have proof. But your mother's advice was to wait. To establish yourself first. To approach him from a position of power, not need. Power. She had 2.8 billion naira worth of power. As Zainab processed everything, Mr. Olanrewaju pulled out one last fire. Your mother was particularly interested in Bisola Bennett. The woman who stole my husband. I know. No. His expression was grim. The woman who was assigned to steal your husband. He showed her bank transfers. From Mrs. Oledile's personal account to Bisola's. Monthly payments starting 8 months ago. She was paid. Zainab couldn't breathe. Bisola was paid to seduce my husband. 30 million naira so far. Plus bonuses for milestones. Getting him to fall in love, 5 million. Getting him to ask for divorce, 10 million. The fake pregnancy announcement, another 10 million. Fake pregnancy. She's not pregnant. Mr. Olanrewaju pulled out medical records. Your mother's investigator confirmed it. She's been on birth control the entire time. The plan was to fake a miscarriage after the divorce was final. Every single thing had been a lie. So, Mr. Olanrewaju leaned back in his chair. You now have everything. The money. The evidence. The power. The question is, what will you do with it? Zainab looked at the mountain of evidence. At the proof of murder. At the billions now in her name. They killed my mother. Yes. They destroyed my marriage. Yes. They were planning to kill me too. Most likely, yes. She thought about her baby, growing inside her. About the world this child would be born into. About the mother she'd just buried. How long would it take to destroy them completely, she asked. Mr. Olanrewaju smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. With what your mother prepared. And with Barrister Nkiru Amodi as your lawyer. 6 months. Maybe less. Barrister Amodi. Your mother retained her services before she died. She's waiting for your call. She specializes in destroying powerful men who underestimate women. Zainab stood up, and something had changed in her posture. In her eyes. In the way she held herself. She wasn't the abandoned wife anymore. She wasn't the washerwoman's daughter. She was the heir to an empire. The daughter of a senator. The keeper of secrets that could destroy dynasties. I want to move slowly, she said. Let them think they've won. Let them get comfortable. Then I want them to lose everything in front of everyone who matters to them. Publicly. Humiliatingly. Completely. Mr. Olanrewaju nodded approvingly. Your mother would be proud. She always said patience was power. How soon can I access the money? It's already yours. Every account, every property, every investment. Your mother made sure the transfer would be immediate upon her death. 2.8 billion naira. 35 million monthly passive income. And evidence that could destroy the people who destroyed her. That night, Zainab sat in her flat in Kabwa, the flat Sigen had generously let her keep, and made her first move. She called Barrister Nkiru Amodi. "Hello, Zainab," the lawyer's voice was warm but sharp. "I've been expecting your call. Your mother said you'd need time to grieve first." "I'm done grieving. Now I want justice." "Good. Can you meet tomorrow? We have a lot to discuss." "Yes." "And Zainab, don't worry about Sigen's lawyer's threats. By the time I'm done with him, he'll be begging you for mercy." After she hung up, Zainab opened her laptop and did something she'd been avoiding. She looked at Baisola's Instagram. The latest post showed her and Sigen at an expensive restaurant. Her baby bump prominently displayed. The caption, "Building our empire with my king crown." Some women just aren't meant for this level of happiness to heart. Zainab smiled. Then she created her own Instagram account. Posted a single photo, her mother's burial flowers. The caption was simple: "Thank you for all the condolences. Mama always said the truth has a way of surfacing. Even from the grave." Dove. Within an hour, she had 300 followers. Within 2 hours, Sigen had viewed her story. Within 3 hours, he texted, "What are you doing?" She didn't reply. Let him wonder. Let him worry. The game was just beginning. 2 weeks after discovering she was worth 2.8 billion naira, Zainab walked into the Abuja charity gala wearing a dress that cost more than most people's cars. The room fell silent. Not because of the dress, though it was spectacular. Champagne-colored, flowing over her pregnant belly like liquid gold. They fell silent because this was supposed to be the abandoned wife. The washerwoman's daughter. The nobody who'd been thrown away at a funeral. But the woman who walked in that night. She looked like royalty. And everyone wanted to know, where the hell did this come from? The Transcorp Hilton ballroom was packed with Nigeria's elite. Ministers. Celebrities. Business tycoons. The kind of people who measured worth in private jets and offshore accounts. Zainab moved through them like she'd been born to it. Mrs. Adisa, the event coordinator, rushed over, clipboard trembling. "We weren't sure you'd attend, given recent circumstances." Recent circumstances. Nice way to say your husband publicly humiliated you at your mother's funeral. "Wouldn't miss it," Zainab said, her smile warm but her eyes knowing. "I have an announcement to make." She'd bought a table. Not just a seat. A table. The premium one, right at the front. And she'd come alone. No date. No family. Just her baby bump, and an aura that made people step aside without being asked. She spotted them immediately. The Oladilis had a table near the back, not the power position they usually commanded. Sigen's father looked uncomfortable in his tux. His mother wore diamonds that suddenly looked cheap under Zainab's gaze. Sigen sat beside Bisola, his hand on her fake baby bump, playing the devoted father-to-be. But when he saw Zainab, his champagne glass slipped. Not enough to drop it, but enough to spill a few drops on his expensive suit. Bisola followed his gaze and her perfectly made-up face went pale. "What is Esechi doing here?" Zainab could read Bisola's lips from across the room. What indeed? Halfway through dinner, the charity auction began. Rich people throwing money at causes they'd forget tomorrow, all for the sake of appearing generous. Our next item, the auctioneer announced, is a weekend at the Eco Atlantic Pearl Resort. Bids flew. 5 million. 8 million. 10 million. Then Zainab raised her hand. 50 million. The room went dead silent. Every head turned. The auctioneer stammered. 50 million naira. Yes. Zainab's voice carried across the ballroom. And I'd like to donate an additional 50 million to the foundation. 100 million total. You could have heard a pin drop. Then the whispers exploded. That's Sigan Oladil's ex-wife. The washerwoman's daughter. Where did she get that kind of money? Did you see Sigan's face? She had seen it. Watched the color drain from his skin like water from a broken dam. After her donation announcement, everyone wanted to meet her. Mrs. Adisa and Minister Johnson. That was remarkably generous. Mrs. Adisa, I run the largest investment firm in West Africa. We should talk. Mrs. Adisa, I had no idea Chief Ibn left such a successful daughter. With each introduction, Zainab planted seeds. My mother was a remarkable woman. People only saw what she wanted them to see. She taught me that real power moves in silence. She left me with resources and responsibilities. I intend to honor both. Never saying the amount. Never explaining the source. Just letting imagination run wild. And it did. Within an hour, the rumor mill was spinning faster than a tornado. I heard her mother secretly owned half of Abuja. Someone said she inherited billions. My cousin at the bank says she's their biggest client now. Each rumor more fantastic than the last. And all of them falling short of the truth. Mrs. Oladil couldn't stand it. She approached during cocktail hour, her smile as fake as Bisola's pregnancy. Zainab, dear. What a surprise to see you here. Dear. Like they were friends. Like she hadn't smiled while her son destroyed Zainab at a cemetery. Mrs. Oladil. Zainab's tone was pleasant but empty. How's the family business? Something flickered in the older woman's eyes. Fear. Suspicion. Thriving, as always. Though I must say, that was quite a generous donation. I hope you're not spending recklessly in your emotional state. Emotional state. My emotional state is excellent, Zainab replied. In fact, I've never been clearer about what needs to be done. And what's that? Zainab smiled. The kind of smile that made smart people nervous. Honoring my mother's legacy. She left me very specific instructions about how to handle her unfinished business. Mrs. Oladil's champagne glass trembled slightly. Unfinished business. Oh yes. Mama was working on several projects before she passed. Investigations, you might say. Into certain improprieties. The older woman's face went from pale to grey. I should get back to my table, Zainab said cheerfully. Enjoy your evening, Mrs. Oladil. While you can. The next morning, Zainab met Barrister Nkiru Amodi at her office in Maitama. The lawyer was everything whispered about her, brilliant, ruthless, and absolutely devastating in court. She'd destroyed 3 senators, 2 ministers, and more wealthy husbands than anyone could count. Your mother chose well, Nkiru said, reviewing the evidence. This is enough to bury them. But we are going to be strategic about it. How? First, we establish your public presence. Make you untouchable. Then, when we strike, they can't claim you're just a bitter ex-wife. She pulled out a list. I've arranged meetings with 3 major NGOs. You join their boards. High-profile charity work. We're building your image as a philanthropist, not a victim. Next name on the list, Ibrahim Musa. Private investigator. Former EFCC. He'll dig deeper into Bisola's fake pregnancy. Then, Dr. Emeka Okonkwo. Forensic accountant. He'll trace every illegal naira the Oladilis have touched. Finally, Patricia Akoli. Public relations. She'll manage the media when we go public. An entire team. An army. How long? Zainab asked. 6 months. We build your profile, gather more evidence, then destroy them at a moment of maximum impact. Ibrahim Musa was the kind of man who could disappear in a crowd while standing right in front of you. Within 3 days, he had news. Bisola Bennett isn't pregnant, he confirmed, sliding photos across Zainab's new desk in her new office. She'd quietly rented space in a premium building. But that's not the interesting part. What is? She's been pregnant before. 3 times. Each time with wealthy married men. Each time ending in convenient miscarriages after large payments. A professional scammer. She targets men whose wives are vulnerable, sick mothers, difficult pregnancies, family tragedies. Swoops in during the chaos. Like a vulture. Exactly. And your mother-in-law has used her before. Zainab's head snapped up. Before. 2 years ago. A lawyer at Sigen's firm. Wife had cancer. Bisola appeared, fake pregnancy and all. He divorced his sick wife, then Bisola had a miscarriage and disappeared with 10 million naira. The wife died alone 6 months later. The pattern was clear. The Oladilis used Bisola like a weapon, destroying marriages that didn't serve their purposes. Zainab started posting strategically. Not obviously wealthy. Just elevated. A photo at a charity board meeting. Caption: honored to join these incredible women in serving our community. A picture with underprivileged children. My mother taught me that we rise by lifting others. A shot of documents on a desk, carefully angled to show nothing specific. Working on something special for Momo's legacy. Each post got thousands of likes. Comments poured in. You look radiant. Your strength is inspiring. Your mother would be so proud. But more importantly, Sigen was watching. He viewed every story within minutes. And Bisola was getting desperate. Her post became more elaborate, more defensive. Some people spread lies because they can't handle seeing others happy. My baby and I are blessed beyond measure. Jealousy is a disease, get well soon. But people were starting to notice she never showed real pregnancy symptoms. No morning sickness post. No food cravings. No swollen feet. Just strategic angles and flowing dresses. 3 weeks into Zainab's transformation, Sigen texted. We need to talk about the baby. I have rights. Rights. Now he remembered he had a child coming. Zainab let him wait 2 days before responding. Your rights are whatever the court decides. Barrister Amodi will be in touch. His next text came within minutes. Barrister Amodi. Why do you need her? This doesn't have to be hostile. It became hostile when you served me divorce papers at my mother's funeral. That was. I was emotional. I made a mistake. A mistake. Like he'd accidentally bought the wrong milk, not deliberately destroyed her life. She didn't respond. But she did screenshot the conversation. Evidence of his regret would be useful later. At 7.5 months pregnant, Zainab attended the Nigerian Women in Business conference. She walked in wearing a custom-made Ankara dress that celebrated her bump rather than hiding it. Hair in gorgeous braids. Modest jewelry that whispered rather than screamed wealth. She was radiant. And she was the keynote speaker. Nobody knew how she'd arranged it. But there she was, on stage, speaking to 500 successful women about resilience. 3 months ago, she began, I buried my mother. I lost my marriage. I faced the kind of public humiliation that makes you want to disappear. The room was silent. But my mother taught me something: when life buries you, remember, you're a seed. Applause rippled through the crowd. She spent her life planting seeds. In property. In investments. In people. And most importantly, in me. She rubbed her belly gently. Now I'm planting seeds in my daughter. Seeds of strength. Seeds of wisdom. Seeds of knowing your worth even when the world tells you you're worthless. Standing ovation. In the audience, unnoticed by Zainab but captured by photographers, Mrs. Oladio. Her face was a study in rage and fear. Dr. Emeka Okonkwo, the forensic accountant, found more than anyone expected. The fuel subsidy scam is just the beginning, he told Zainab at their weekly meeting. The Oladilis are into everything. Construction contract fraud. Money laundering. Tax evasion. He pulled out charts that made Zainab's head spin. They've stolen approximately 12 billion naira over 8 years. But here's the interesting part, Sigen isn't just complicit. He's the architect. What? His law firm has been creating the shell companies. He's been filing the false documents. His signature is on everything. Sigen wasn't a victim of his parents' crimes. He was the mastermind. Can we prove it? Your mother already did. He showed her documents from Box 881. She traced every transaction. She has recordings of him explaining the scheme to potential partners. She has everything. Everything. One evening, as Zainab left her office, a car followed her. Black. Tinted windows. Keeping perfect distance. Ibrahim had warned her this might happen. They're getting nervous. They might try to scare you. She didn't go home. Instead, she drove to the police station where Ibrahim's friend worked. The car disappeared. But the message was clear, the Oladilis knew she was up to something. That night, she moved. From the flat in Kubwa to a serviced apartment in Asekoro with security. She didn't announce it. Didn't post about it. Just disappeared from where they expected her to be. Meanwhile, Bisola was cracking. Her fake pregnancy was becoming harder to maintain. People were asking questions. Why no baby shower? Why no pregnancy photos with actual doctors? Why does your bum change sizes? She posted a long, rambling message about privacy and toxic people trying to steal her joy. But the damage was done. Someone leaked a photo of her at a bar, drinking heavily, her bump completely flat. The caption thought she was 5 months pregnant. The internet detectives went to work. Look at this photo from last week, huge bump. Now look at this one from today, no bump. She's faking it. Hashtag fake pregnancy scandal started trending. Sigen had to turn off his Instagram comments. 5 months pregnant. 3 months of transformation complete. Zainab sat with her team, planning the final phase. The baby will be born in 3 months, she said. I want to strike when she's 1 month old. Why then? Nkiru asked. Because I want my daughter to exist in a world where the people who try to destroy us have already fallen. I want her first months to be in victory, not battle. They set the date. The event, the launch of the Ibn Adise Foundation. The venue, the most prestigious ballroom in Abuja. The guest list, everyone who mattered. Including the Oladilis. They'll come, Zainab said confidently. They won't be able to resist seeing what I'm doing. And then we show them what Mama left behind. All of it. Publicly. In front of everyone they've ever tried to impress. That night, Zainab stood on her apartment balcony, looking out over Abuja's lights. Her phone buzzed. Sigen again. I know you hate me. But please, I want to be there when the baby is born. She's my child too. She almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But then she remembered the recording of his mother planning Mama's murder. Remembered him calling her mother nobody. Remembered Bisola's smack at the cemetery. She typed back. You made your choice at my mother's funeral. Now live with it. Then she blocked his number. Let him panic. Let him wonder. Let him realize that the woman he'd thrown away was becoming something he never expected. Dangerous. 3 days later, Dr. Emeka found something that changed everything. Zainab, you need to see this. He handed her a document. A life insurance policy. On her life. For 50 million naira. Taken out by Sigan 2 weeks before the funeral. The beneficiary, himself. He was planning to. She couldn't say it. Kill you. Yes. After the divorce was final. Make it look like complications from childbirth. Your mother's death was supposed to make you vulnerable enough to sign everything without reading it. Zainab's hand went to her belly, protecting her child from even the thought of harm. They weren't just going to destroy me. They were going to murder me. Your mother saved your life by dying first. Her investigation made them nervous. They backed off their plan. Mama had died protecting her. Even in death, she was still protecting her. Zainab's rage crystallized into something harder than diamond. Change of plans, she told her team. We are not waiting 6 months. What do you want to do? I want to destroy them. Completely. Publicly. And I want them to know it's coming but be unable to stop it. She pulled out her phone and did something that would light the fuse. She sent Mrs. Oladil a single message. I know about the life insurance policy. I know about everything. See you at the foundation launch. The washerwoman's daughter. Then she sat back and waited for the panic to begin. At 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, Zainab's water broke. She drove herself to City-Crest Hospital, the most expensive private hospital in Abuja, in a Bentley nobody knew she owned. The same hospital where government ministers had their babies. The same hospital where Sigan's family could never afford to go. And when the nurse asked for her next of kin, Zainab said something that would haunt Sigan forever. I don't have one. The only family I had is dead. Murdered, actually. 8 hours later, she gave birth to a daughter. And Sigan found out the same way strangers did, through Instagram. The contractions had started at midnight. Zainab had been ready. Hospital bag packed. Driver on standby, she'd hired security after the car following incident. But she chose to drive herself. This is something I need to do alone, she told her security. My mother did it alone. So will I. The roads were empty. Abuja at 4 a.m. was a different city, quiet, almost peaceful. At every red light, she talked to her belly. We are almost there, baby girl. You're about to meet a world that tried to destroy us. But we survived. We more than survived. A contraction hit so hard she had to pull over. Breathe. 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 In that moment, parked on the side of Omadu Bello Way, she felt her mother's presence so strongly it made her cry. I wish you were here, Mama, she whispered. I wish you could meet her. The wind through the cracked window felt like an answer, I'm always here. City-Crest Hospital at 4 a.m. was efficiency in motion. The moment she walked in, designer maternity dress, perfect posture despite the pain, the staff moved. Mrs. Adisa. We've been expecting you. They had. She hadn't called ahead. Mr. Olanrawaju arranged everything, the head nurse explained. You have the VIP suite. Full privacy. Whatever you need. The VIP suite was bigger than her old flat. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Private bathroom with gold fixtures. A bed that looked more like a throne. Would you like us to call anyone? The nurse asked gently. The father, perhaps. Another contraction hit. Zainab gripped the bed rail so hard her knuckles went white. The father, she said through gritted teeth, is dead to us. 7 hours of labor. 7 hours of pain that made her understand why women were the stronger sex. 7 hours of pushing through agony with no hand to hold, no partner to curse at, no one to tell her she was doing great. But she wasn't alone. Not really. because every time the pain got unbearable, she heard her mother's voice. You're stronger than you know. This pain is temporary. Your daughter is forever. Show them what an Adisa woman is made of. At 11:23 a.m., Ibn Adisa entered the world. 7 pounds, 3 ounces of perfection. When the nurse placed her on Zainab's chest, skin to skin, heartbeat to heartbeat, something shifted in the universe. She has your mother's eyes, the nurse said softly. She did. Those same wise, knowing eyes that had seen everything and been surprised by nothing. Hello, Ibn, Zainab whispered. Welcome to your empire. Zainab waited until evening to post. One photo. Simple. Powerful. Baby Ibn's tiny hand wrapped around her mother's finger. The hospital bracelet visible, showing the date and time. The caption. Ibn Adisa too has arrived. 7 pounds 3 ounces of our grandmother's spirit. We might be alone, but we are enough. White heart. Within minutes. 47 likes. 108 likes. 394 likes. 1,847 likes. 5,000 likes. The comments poured in. She's beautiful. Your mother's legacy lives on. That strength. That grace. Wait, where's the father? That last question got answered by someone who'd been at the funeral. The father divorced her at her mother's funeral while she was pregnant. He's trash. The story went viral. #Justice for Zainab started trending. Sigen was in a meeting when his phone exploded. 17 messages in 30 seconds. Bro, did you see? Your daughter is here. How are you not there? She looks just like you. He opened Instagram with shaking hands. There she was. His daughter. His daughter. And he'd found out like a stranger. Through social media. Along with 50,000 other people. The comments under Zainab's post were brutal. Deadbeat father alert. Imagine leaving a pregnant woman at a funeral then missing your child's birth. Men will embarrass you. At Sigen Oladil you're trash. He tried to call Zainab. Blocked. WhatsApp. Blocked. Email. Bounced back. He had been erased from their lives as thoroughly as if he'd never existed. Within hours, flowers started arriving at the hospital. Expensive arrangements from people who suddenly wanted to be associated with Zainab. Ministers' wives. Business moguls. Even celebrities. But the most interesting delivery came at 8 p.m. A massive arrangement. Birds of paradise, roses, baby's breath. Probably cost 50,000 naira. The card, congratulations on your blessing. The Oladil family. Zainab read it and laughed. Not a bitter laugh. A genuine, amused laugh. Nurse, she called. Please donate this to the children's ward. From the Ibn Adise Foundation. She took a photo of the flowers in the children's ward with sick kids smiling around them. Posted it. Caption, some flowers found their perfect home. Teaching my daughter early, we redirect negative energy into positive action. Thank you to the donor for helping brighten this children's day. Hibiscus. She didn't name the Oladilis. She didn't have to. Everyone knew. At midnight, someone unexpected arrived. Senator Dunlody Bello. Her biological father. He stood in the doorway, powerful, distinguished, with eyes exactly like hers. Security let you in? Zainab asked, not entirely surprised. Security tends to let senators go where they want. His voice was deep, careful. Mr. Olanrewaju told me. About you. About everything. And I've been sitting in my car outside for 3 hours, trying to decide whether to come up. What decided you? I saw the post. The comments. How alone you are. No one should be alone when their child is born. He moved closer, slowly, like approaching a wild animal. I know I have no right to be here. I abandoned your mother. I let my wife threaten her. I've been a coward for 28 years. Yes, Zainab agreed. You have. But if you let me, I'd like to meet my granddaughter. Zainab studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Senator Bello approached the bassinet where Ibn slept. His face transformed when he saw her. She's beautiful, he whispered. She looks like Mama. I know. I loved her. The words came out broken. Your mother. I truly loved her. But I was weak. Married. Ambitious. I chose politics over principle. And now I'm 63 years old with 4 legitimate children who only call when they need money and a hole in my chest shaped like the woman I let go. He pulled out an envelope. I know money doesn't fix anything. But it's a start. I don't need your money. Mama left me plenty. His eyebrows rose. She did. 2.8 billion naira worth of plenty. The senator actually stumbled. Had to grab a chair. Ibn saved that much. Turned your 50 million into an empire. While washing your friend's dirty underwear. The shame on his face was complete. There's something else, Senator Bello said after recovering. The Oladilis. Zainab's attention sharpened. What about them? They're panicking. Your message about the life insurance, it scared them. They are calling in favors. Trying to bury whatever you have on them. Let them try. They are also dangerous. That car that followed you. That was just a warning. They've done worse. They killed Mama. I know. His face darkened. I've known the Oladilis for 20 years. They are into everything dirty in this country. But they made one mistake. What? They made an enemy of my daughter. The words hung between them. Daughter. He'd said it. I can't publicly acknowledge you, he continued. My wife, my political career. I'm not asking you to. But privately. Behind the scenes. I can make their lives hell. Ministers who suddenly won't take their calls. Contracts that mysteriously disappear. Bank loans that get recalled. He was offering her a weapon. Political power to add to her financial war chest. That night, Mr. Olanrewaju visited. Your mother left this, he said, handing her another letter. To be opened when her grandchild was born. Zainab opened it with one hand while holding sleeping Ibn with the other. My dearest daughter. If you're reading this, you've brought my grandchild into the world. I wish I could hold her. Kiss her. Tell her stories. But I can't. Because by now, you know the truth. They killed me. Don't mourn me, my love. I chose this. I could have run, could have hidden. But that would have left you vulnerable forever. By dying on my terms, I ensure you live on yours. The evidence in box 881 is complete. But there's more. Something I didn't put in the bank. In my Bible, the one I know you kept, inside the back cover, you'll find a USB drive. On it are recordings that will destroy more than just the Oladilis. Half of Abuja's elite are implicated. Use it wisely. Use it when the moment is perfect. And remember, you're not just fighting for revenge. You're fighting for every woman they'll try to destroy after you. Make them fear the consequences of underestimating a woman. Oh my love. Mama. P.S. Tell my granddaughter her grandmother loved her before she was even born. Zainab called her security team immediately. Within an hour, they'd retrieved the Bible and found the USB. What was on it made everyone in the room step back. Jesus Christ, Ibrahim breathed. This is nuclear, Barrister Nkiru finished. Recordings of government officials discussing bribes. Videos of money being counted in back rooms. Documents showing connections between the fuel subsidy scam and 17 other major frauds. The Oladilis weren't just criminals. They were the center of a criminal network. Your mother was basically running a one-woman FBI, Dr. Emeka said in awe. How did she get all this? She cleaned their houses, Zainab said simply. They thought she was invisible. Furniture. Background noise. And she was recording everything. For 2 years. 3 days after Ibn's birth, things started happening. Zainab's bank called. There's been an inquiry about freezing your accounts. We've blocked it, but someone's trying. Her lawyer received threats, drop the Adise case or face consequences. The hospital had computer problems that almost deleted Ibn's birth records. The Oladilis were fighting back. But they were fighting blind. They didn't know what she had. How much she had. How many copies existed. They were swinging in the dark while she held all the lights. Let them panic, she told her team. Desperate people make mistakes. The mistake came from Bisola. Stressed, scared, and stupid with fear, she got drunk at a club and started talking. The whole pregnancy is fake, she slurred to anyone who'd listen. They paid me 30 million to destroy that marriage. Someone was recording. By morning, the video was everywhere. Sigan Oladil's girlfriend admits fake pregnancy. I was paid to destroy a marriage. The 30 million naira homewrecker. Bisola tried to claim she was joking, drunk, taken out of context. But the internet never forgets. And the internet was angry. Sigan's law firm put him on administrative leave pending investigation. 3 major clients pulled their accounts from Oladil Industries. Mrs. Oladil was disinvited from the Minister's Wives Association. Their world was crumbling, brick by brick. And Zainab hadn't even played her first card yet. 2 weeks after Ibn's birth, Zainab made her move. A press release, sent to every major media outlet. The Ibn Adisa Foundation for Women and Children were launched in 6 months with an initial endowment of 500 million naira. Our mission, to protect and empower women facing domestic betrayal and violence, *. The launch event will feature revelations about systemic corruption that has hurt Nigerian families for decades. All are welcome. Especially those with guilty consciences. Light defeats darkness. Truth defeats lies. And patience defeats everything. Save the date. No specific accusations. No names mentioned. But everyone knew. The Oladilis were being invited to their own execution. For 6 months, Zainab did something more terrifying than attacking. She said nothing. No accusations. No threats. No revelations. Just silence. Strategic, calculated, maddening silence that made the Oladilis check under their beds at night. Because waiting for the sword to fall is worse than the cut itself. And while they waited, while they panicked, while they slowly destroyed themselves with paranoia, Zainab was building an empire. Zainab emerged from maternity leave like a butterfly from a cocoon. But this butterfly had teeth. Her first public appearance, the Nigerian Women's Economic Summit. She walked in carrying baby Ibn in a traditional wrapper, looking like African royalty. The room stood up. Actually stood up when she entered. Please, she said graciously. I'm just a new mother trying to honor her own mother's legacy. But everyone knew better. This wasn't just a new mother. This was the woman with secrets that could topple governments. Her speech was masterful. 6 months ago, I lost everything. My mother. My marriage. My sense of self. But in that loss, I found something more valuable, purpose. She announced the foundation's first initiative, free legal services for women going through traumatic divorces. No woman should have to sign papers at her mother's graveside, she said. The reference was clear. In the audience, someone had invited Sigen's business partner. He filmed it all. Sigen watched that video 17 times that night. Behind the scenes, Zainab's team grew. She hired a former EFCC prosecutor who'd been forced out for being too effective. A cybersecurity expert who could trace digital footprints. An international lawyer who specialized in asset recovery. A media strategist who destroyed 3 political careers. I don't want to just expose them, she told her team. I want to make sure they can never hurt anyone again. That's a tall order, Ibrahim said. The Oladilis have connections everywhere. Then we'll cut every connection. One by one. She pulled up a chart on the wall. A web of names, companies, connections. We are going to map their entire network. Every dirty deal. Every bribed official. Every victim they've left behind. This could take years. We have 6 months. And more motivation than they have money. Bisola cracked first. After her drunk confession went viral, Sigen had cut her off. No more money. No more protection. No more fake love. She started posting desperate messages. I was used. They made me do it. The Oladilis are evil. I have recordings too. That last one was interesting. Ibrahim reached out through intermediaries. She wants immunity, he reported. She'll testify about everything if we protect her from the Oladilis. Bring her in, Zainab decided. Bisola looked different without her armor of designer clothes and perfect makeup. Smaller. Scared. Human. They've done this 5 times, she said, hands shaking. I was just their latest weapon. She pulled out her phone, showing bank transfers, messages, instructions. Mrs. Oladil would identify couples where the wife was vulnerable. Then she'd send me in. Same playbook every time. Fake pregnancy. Emotional manipulation. Destroy the marriage from inside. Why? Business. Every marriage they destroyed opened a business opportunity. A contract. A merger. Something. And my marriage. Bisola looked down. Your mother was investigating them. They thought if they broke you, she'd stop to take care of you. Instead, she died. That wasn't supposed to happen. Bisola's eyes went wide. The plan was just to distract her. But then she got too close to the truth about the fuel subsidy, and they murdered her. I have a recording. Mrs. Oladil discussing it with someone. I kept it as insurance. She played it. Mrs. Oladil's voice, clear as day, the washerwoman has to go. Make it look natural. And make sure it happens before she tells her daughter anything. Evidence. Direct evidence of murder conspiracy. At 3 months old, Ibo made her society debut at a charity luncheon. She was perfect. Calm, alert, with those wise eyes that seemed to see everything. Women crowded around to coo over her. She's so beautiful. Those eyes. She looks just like her grandmother. And then someone said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Such a shame about the father. Missing all of this. The room went quiet. Zainab smiled serenely. My daughter has everything she needs. Love, legacy, and a lesson about choosing partners wisely. Soft laughter rippled through the room. But the message was clear, Sigen was nothing to them. Sigen was falling apart. His law firm had suggested he resign. His parents were hemorrhaging money trying to keep their businesses afloat. And worst of all, everyone knew. At restaurants, people whispered when he walked by. At the golf club, former friends were suddenly busy. On social media, he'd become a meme. The face of "fumbled the bag" post. He tried dating, but every woman Googled him. And the first result was always that viral video title. Nigerian man divorces pregnant wife at funeral, what happened next will shock you. He was radioactive. 3 months in, Sigen started sending desperate emails to Zainab's lawyer. I want to see my daughter. I have rights. This is kidnapping. I'll go to court. Barrister Nkiru responded once. Mr. Oladil, you surrendered your rights when you abandoned a pregnant woman at her mother's funeral. You're welcome to pursue legal action. We have 247 pieces of evidence ready for court, including your plans to commit insurance fraud via murder. Proceed at your own risk. He didn't proceed. Senator Bello worked quietly but effectively. Suddenly, the Oladilis couldn't get meetings with ministers. Their contract bids were rejected for technical reasons. Their loan applications were delayed indefinitely. What's happening? Mrs. Oladil raged at a banking executive. I don't know, he lied. Orders from above. Above was Senator Bello, who'd made 3 phone calls. The Oladilis are under investigation. Distance yourself. That's all it took. In Nigerian politics, under investigation was a death sentence. While her enemies crumbled, Zainab built. The Ibn Adisa Foundation opened its first office. Then its second. Then its third. They provided free legal aid to divorced women, emergency housing for abandoned mothers, job training for women starting over, counseling for children of broken homes. Each woman they helped had a story. And each story sounded familiar. He left me when my mother got sick. He said I was too local for his new status. He had another woman the whole time. The foundation became more than charity. It became a movement. Women started sharing their stories with the hashtag Ibn taught us. The stories went viral. Every single day. Dr. Emeka had been working non-stop. I've traced it all, he announced at the team meeting. Every illegal transaction for 8 years. The web on the wall was complete. 127 companies involved. 48 government officials bribed. 12 billion naira stolen. And at the center, the Oladilis. This is enough to put them away for life, Barrister Nkiru said. Not yet, Zainab said. I want them to confess. Publicly. I want them to be EG. How do we make them do that? We give them hope. Then we take it away. Zainab did something unexpected. She had her lawyer reach out to Sigan. My client is willing to discuss co-parenting arrangements. Perhaps we can meet and resolve this amicably. Sigan nearly cried with relief. He told his parents, she's softening. Maybe we can negotiate. They agreed to meet at a neutral location, a conference room at a 5-star hotel. Sigan arrived early, desperate, hopeful. Zainab arrived exactly on time, carrying baby Ibn. For the first time in 6 months, Sigan saw his daughter in person. She was perfect. His eyes filled with tears. She's beautiful. Yes, Zainab agreed. She is. Can I hold her? No. The single word hit like a slap. Here's my offer, Zainab said calmly. You sign away all parental rights. Permanently. In exchange, I don't release what I have on your family. What do you have? She pulled out a tablet. Showed him one document. Just one. His signature on a fraudulent fuel import license worth 500 million naira. His face went white. That's enough for 20 years in prison. And I have hundreds more. You're blackmailing me. I'm giving you a choice. The same way you gave me a choice at my mother's funeral. She stood to leave. Wait. Sigan was desperate. Please. She's my daughter. I made a mistake. One mistake. One mistake. Zainab's voice was ice. You planned my murder for insurance money. That's not a mistake. That's attempted murder. She showed him the insurance policy on her phone. How did you? My mother recorded everything. Including you discussing with your mother how to make my death look natural after the divorce. Sigan collapsed into his chair. Sign the papers, Zainab said. Or everything goes public at the foundation launch next month. 1 month before the launch, invitations went out. Gold embossed. Expensive. Elegant. You are cordially invited to the inauguration of the EBU and Adise Foundation for Women and Children. And the first birthday celebration of Ibn Adise too. Saturday, December 14th, 7 p.m. The Transcorp Hilton Ballroom. Dress code, truth and consequences. That last line made everyone nervous. Truth and consequences. 500 invitations were sent. Including 3 to the Oladil family. The Oladili spent 3 days debating. It's a trap, Mr. Oladil insisted. Of course it's a trap, Mrs. Oladil snapped. But not going looks worse. Like we're afraid. We are afraid. Sigan shouted. She has evidence that could destroy us. She's bluffing. She's not bluffing. She has recordings. Documents. Everything. Then we go, Mrs. Oladil decided. We face whatever she has with dignity. Sure, we are not intimidated. It was the worst decision they'd ever make. 3 days before the launch, Zainab met with her full team. Everything ready. EFCC agents will be positioned throughout the ballroom, Ibrahim confirmed. The media. Every major outlet will be there. Plus we are live streaming. The screens. Installed. Whatever you want to display will be visible to all 500 guests. The evidence. Organized chronologically. Each revelation building on the last. And the finale. Barrister Nkiru smiled. The murder confession. We saved that for last. Zainab looked at baby Ibn, almost 1 year old now, playing with a toy. Your grandmother started this, my love. We are going to finish it. The night before the launch, Zainab couldn't sleep. She stood on her balcony, looking out over Abuja, holding Ibn. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You don't know what you're playing with. Stop now or face the consequences. A threat. She smiled and typed back. My mother faced your consequences. She died for truth. Tomorrow, you'll face mine. And unlike yours, mine come with receipts. She blocked the number. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, the Oladilis would fall. Tomorrow, Mama Ibn's justice would be complete. That morning, Sigan tried one last time. He sent a voice note. Zainab, please. I know I hurt you. I know I was wrong. But don't do this. My parents are old. This will kill them. And Ibn, one day she'll ask about her father. What will you tell her? Zainab listened to it 3 times. Then she responded with her own voice note. I'll tell her the truth. That her father chose money over family. That he planned to murder her mother for insurance. That he signed away his rights to avoid prison. And then I'll tell her what her grandmother taught me, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. She paused. See you tonight, Sigan. Wear something nice. It will be the last time you appear in public as a free man. The Transcorp Hilton Ballroom was transformed. Gold and white flowers everywhere. Screens positioned strategically around the room. A stage with a single podium. And at the entrance, a massive portrait of Mama Ibn. Dignified. Wise. Watching. As guests began arriving, they walked under her gaze. Some felt inspired. Others felt judged. The Oladilis, when they arrived, felt the weight of prophecy. Because in that portrait, Mama Ibn's eyes seemed to be saying, "I told you to be patient, my daughter. The patient dog eats the fattest bone. Tonight, we feast." 7 p.m. approached. The ballroom filled with Nigeria's elite. Ministers, celebrities, business tycoons, journalists. Everyone who mattered was there. At 6:45, Zainab made her entrance. She wore white. Pure, simple, devastating white. Baby Ibn was in matching white, carried by her nanny. They moved through the crowd like royalty. Which, in a way, they were. The queens of a kingdom built on patience, truth, and perfect revenge. At 6:55, the Oladilis took their seats. At 7 o'clock, the lights dimmed. And the reckoning began. What happens when 500 of Nigeria's most powerful people witness the complete destruction of the Olodil Empire? How will Sigen react when his crimes are displayed on screen? And what final surprise did Mama Ibn leave for this moment? The foundation launch is here. The evidence is ready. And justice is about to be served in high definition. The patient dog has waited long enough. When the Oladilis received the gold-embossed invitation to Ibn's first birthday party, Mrs. Olodil did something she'd never done before. She threw up. Right there in her marble bathroom, holding the beautiful invitation that might as well have been a death warrant. Because she knew. The washerwoman's daughter wasn't inviting them to a party. She was inviting them to their own public execution. "We don't have to go," her husband said, finding her on the bathroom floor. "Yes," she whispered, staring at the words "truth and consequences" on the invitation. "We do. Because running would be admitting guilt. And staying would mean facing whatever Zainab had planned." They were trapped. Exactly where Zainab wanted them. The Olodil mansion hadn't seen this much panic since the EFCC raided the minister's house next door. "She's going to destroy us," Sigyn kept saying, pacing like a caged animal. "She has the recordings. The documents. Everything." "She's bluffing," Mrs. Olodil insisted, but her voice shook. No one would air family business at their child's birthday party. "This isn't a birthday party," Sigyn shouted. "It's a trap." Mr. Olodil sat silent, calculating. He'd built his empire on reading situations. And this situation read like a death sentence. "What if we don't go?" he finally asked. "Then we look guilty," Mrs. Olodil said. "Every person at that event will wonder what we're hiding." They already wonder that. But wondering isn't knowing. If she reveals whatever she has while we're absent, we look like cowards. If we're there, we can at least respond. Deny. Fight back. Sigyn laughed bitterly. Fight back. With what? She has receipts for everything. She has Mama on tape planning her mother's murder. The word hung in the air like a noose. Murder. They'd crossed lines before. But never this line. And now the washerwoman's daughter had proof. Day 2 of debates, Bisola called Sigyn. "Don't go," she warned. "I've heard things." "What things?" "She's been meeting with EFCC officials. They are going to be arrested." "How do you know?" I've been talking to her team." "You what?" "I had to. They have videos of me admitting the pregnancy was fake. They have bank transfers from your mother. I'm trying to save myself." "You betrayed us?" "You betrayed me first. You cut me off the moment things got difficult. You were lying about being pregnant. And you were lying about loving me." The call ended with both of them screaming. But the damage was done. If Bisola had flipped, who else had? How many people were feeding information to Zainab? How deep did her network go? On the morning of the event, the Oladilis made their choice. They would attend. But they'd come prepared. We record everything, Mrs. Oladil instructed. If she makes accusations, we need proof for our defamation lawsuit. Defamation? Sigan laughed. She has evidence. Then we claim it's fabricated. Deepfakes. AI. Whatever we need to say. They dressed carefully. Expensively. Armor made of designer labels. Mr. Oladil in his best agbada, the one he wore to meet presidents. Mrs. Oladil in diamonds that could buy a house. Sigan in a suit that cost more than most people's cars but somehow made him look cheaper. Remember, Mrs. Oladil said as their driver pulled up to the Transcorp Hilton, show no fear. We're the Oladilis. We've survived worse. They hadn't. They just didn't know it yet. The Transcorp Hilton was a scene. Valet parking couldn't keep up. Every car was a luxury brand. Every person stepping out was someone whose name carried weight. The Oladilis arrived at 6:47 p.m. Fashionably late but not disrespectfully so. The moment they stepped out, phones appeared. Click. 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 Everyone wanted to document this. The family that had betrayed Zainab, walking into her event. Smile, Mrs. Oladil hissed through her teeth. They smiled. It looked like three people having their teeth cleaned at gunpoint. Walking into that ballroom was like walking into a courtroom. 500 pairs of eyes turned to watch them enter. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. The portrait of Mama Ibn seemed to follow them with her gaze. And there, in the center of it all, was Zainab. She stood near the stage, holding baby Ibn, surrounded by people who mattered. When she saw the Oladilis, she didn't frown. She didn't glare. She smiled. The kind of smile a lion gives when the antelope walks directly into its den. Welcome, she said, her voice carrying across the room. So glad you could make it. The room held its breath. This was it. The confrontation everyone had come to see. But Zainab simply turned back to her conversation. Dismissing them. Like they were nothing. Which, in her new world, they were. The Oladilis were shown to their table. Table 47. In the back corner. The social Siberia of the event. There must be a mistake, Mrs. Oladil said to the hostess. We are family. The hostess, clearly briefed, smiled politely. No mistake, ma'am. Table 47. Please enjoy the evening. Family. The word sounded absurd after everything. They sat at their back corner table, watching Zainab walk the room. Watching ministers' wives embrace her. Watching billionaires compete for her attention. Watching their former friends carefully avoid eye contact with them. This is deliberate, Mr. Oladil muttered. Everything she does is deliberate, Sigan replied, his hands shaking as he reached for water. As dinner was served, exceptional cuisine that tasted like ash in the Oladilis' mouths, the whisper started. Did you hear she's worth billions now? Her mother left her everything. I heard the Oladilis tried to have her accounts frozen. Apparently there's going to be some kind of announcement. About the foundation. About the Oladilis. Each whisper was a cut. Death by 1,000 conversations. At 7:15, Zainab's technical team made final adjustments. The screens around the ballroom flickered to life, showing the foundation's logo. Testing, testing, someone said into a microphone. But Sigan noticed something else. There were people positioned around the room who didn't fit. They weren't eating. Weren't socializing. They were watching. Waiting. Security, he whispered to his father. No, Mr. Oladil replied, his face grave. Law enforcement. At 7:20, a prominent journalist approached their table. Mr. Oladil, any comment on tonight's event? "We're here to celebrate our granddaughter's birthday," Mrs. Oladil said stiffly. "Your granddaughter? But I thought. Family is complicated," she cut him off. The journalist smiled knowingly. "It's about to get more complicated." He walked away, leaving them with those ominous words. What did he mean? Sigan asked. They'd find out in 10 minutes. At 7:25, baby Ibon was brought forward. 1-year-old, dressed in white and gold, looking like a tiny empress. The room collectively went, "Oh." She was perfect. Beautiful. Innocent. A reminder of what this was supposedly about, a child's birthday. But when Zainab took her daughter and kissed her forehead, whispering something that made the baby giggle, everyone understood. This child would grow up knowing her worth. Would never beg for acceptance. Would never sign papers at anyone's graveside. This child would inherit an empire built on her grandmother's patience and her mother's fury. At 7:28, Barrister Nkiru Amadi walked to the podium. The room began to quiet. People found their seats. The Oladilis gripped their champagne glasses like life preservers. "Good evening, distinguished guest," Barrister Amadi began. "Thank you for joining us for this momentous occasion." Momentous. Not special. Not wonderful. Momentous. As in, moments that change history. Before we begin the formal program, I'd like to invite someone special to say a few words. She paused. "Please welcome Zainab Adisa." Zainab handed baby Ibn to her nanny. Then she walked to the stage. Every step was measured. Deliberate. Her white dress moved like water. Her posture was perfect. She looked like what she was, a woman about to claim her kingdom. The applause started slowly, then built. By the time she reached the podium, it was thunderous. Everyone except the Oladilis was clapping. They sat frozen, knowing that the next few minutes would determine their fate. Zainab adjusted the microphone. Looked out at the 500 faces. Smiled. 1 year ago, she began, her voice clear and strong, "I buried my mother at Gudu Cemetery." The room went silent. It was supposed to be the worst day of my life. And it was. But not for the reason you think. She paused, letting tension build. It wasn't just losing my mother that made it the worst day. It was what happened at her graveside. It was discovering that the people I trusted had been planning my destruction for months. Phones came out. This was being recorded by everyone. Tonight, I want to tell you a story. A story about patience. About truth. About justice that comes not from courts or governments, but from evidence so complete that denial becomes impossible. She looked directly at the Oladilis table. A story about what happens when you underestimate the wrong woman. My mother was murdered. The word dropped into the silent ballroom like a nuclear bomb. 500 people stopped breathing simultaneously. She was poisoned 3 days before her funeral by people sitting in this room tonight. And I have proof. Someone dropped a champagne glass. It shattered on the marble floor. Nobody moved to clean it. Because on the screens around the ballroom, a document appeared. A toxicology report. Showing lethal levels of thallium in Mama Ibn's system. The kind of poison that mimics a heart attack. The kind only professionals use. The kind that costs more than most people's yearly salary. But let me start from the beginning, Zainab said calmly. Let me tell you the real story of what happened to my family. 1 year ago, as they lowered my mother into the ground, my husband of 3 years approached me. On the screen, a photo from the funeral. Zainab in black, visibly pregnant, tears on her face. Sigan standing in front of her, holding papers. Someone had been taking pictures. He handed me divorce papers. At the graveside. While I was 6 months pregnant. Gasps rippled through the room. But that wasn't the shocking part. She clicked a remote. New image, Bisola at the funeral, standing beside Sigan, her hand on his arm. He brought his pregnant girlfriend to my mother's burial. More gasps. Someone said Jesus Christ loud enough to echo. Except. Zainab smiled coldly, she wasn't pregnant. Boom. Medical records filled the screens. Bisola Bennett has been on birth control continuously for 3 years. Prescription records. Doctor's notes. Pharmacy receipts. The pregnancy that destroyed my marriage never existed. On screen, screenshots of Bisola's Instagram posts, showing her bumper changing sizes dramatically, sometimes disappearing entirely. But she was paid to pretend. Bank transfers appeared. From Mrs. Oledil's personal account to Bisola's. 30 million naira to seduce my husband and fake a pregnancy. The room erupted. People stood up to see better. Phones were recording frantically. At table 47, Mrs. Oledil's face had gone from pale to purple. But don't take my word for it, Zainab said calmly. Let's hear from Bisola herself. Audio filled the ballroom. The whole pregnancy is fake. They paid me 30 million to destroy that marriage. Mrs. Oledil said it would be easy. The wife was weak, the husband was ambitious. I just had to show up and take him. The drunk confession from the nightclub. Crystal clear. Undeniable. Bisola is here tonight, Zainab announced. Would you like to deny this recording? All eyes turned, searching. But Bisola's seat was empty. She'd fled the moment Zainab took the stage. Now, you might wonder why the Oladilis wanted to destroy my marriage so badly. New images, property deeds, bank statements, investment portfolios. Because my mother, the simple washerwoman, was worth 2.8 billion naira. The number appeared on screen in massive font. Nigeria Naira 2 800 000 000. Chaos. Absolute chaos. People were standing, shouting, pointing at the screens. My mother turned 50 million naira into an empire while pretending to be poor. She bought land when it was worthless. Invested in companies no one believed in. And she did it all while washing the clothes of the people in this room. She paused, letting that sink in. Some of you had her clean your houses. Iron your clothes. You looked through her like she was furniture. And the whole time, she was richer than most of you. Uncomfortable shifting in seats. Several people looked at their plates, remembering how they treated Mama Iban. My mother did all this with settlement money. 50 million naira to keep quiet about who my father was. A photograph appeared on screen. Young Ibon standing next to Senator Danladi Bello. The room went nuclear. Senator Bello is my biological father. The senator, who'd been sitting quietly at table 3, stood up. It's true, he said into the sudden silence. I was a coward who chose politics over principle. Ibn Adisa was the love of my life, and I let my wife threaten her into hiding. He looked at Zainab. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just finally telling the truth. The cameras were going crazy. This would be front page news tomorrow. But money wasn't why the Oladilis wanted me gone, Zainab continued. It was what my mother discovered while cleaning their house. New documents on screen, company registrations, government contracts, bank records. The Oladilis have been running a fuel subsidy scam for 8 years. The documents scrolled, showing phantom companies, fake imports, forged signatures. 12 billion naira stolen from the Nigerian people. Nigeria Naira 12,000,000,000. My mother discovered this 2 years ago. She started collecting evidence, recording conversations, documenting crimes. Audio played. Mr. Oledil's voice, the fuel shipment that doesn't exist, file it under Neptune Industries. Sigen's voice, I'll handle the paperwork. The ministry contact is already paid off. At their table, the Oladilis were frozen. They couldn't run, the exits were blocked by guests who were clearly law enforcement. They couldn't deny, their own voices were playing. They could only sit and watch their empire burn. When my mother got too close to the truth, they decided to eliminate her. A new recording played. Mrs. Oladil's voice, clear as crystal. The washerwoman knows too much. She has to go. An unknown male voice, how do you want it handled? Make it look natural. She's the right age for a heart attack. Use the thallium. It's untraceable unless someone specifically looks for it. And after she's dead, we break the daughter. Sigan will divorce her at the funeral, maximum emotional damage. She'll be too destroyed to look into anything. The ballroom was silent. You could hear hearts beating. They killed my mother, Zainab said quietly. Then they tried to destroy me when I was most vulnerable. They thought grief would make me weak. She smiled. They were wrong. But they weren't done with just divorce. A new document appeared, a life insurance policy. 2 weeks before my mother's funeral, my husband took out a 50 million naira life insurance policy on MY Life. The beneficiary line was highlighted, Sigan Oladil. The plan was to kill me after the divorce. Make it look like complications from childbirth. Collect the insurance money. Someone in the audience screamed, monster. I was pregnant with his child, and he was planning my murder. Tears were streaming down faces in the audience. But Zainab remained calm. Composed. Devastating. Now, the Oladilis might claim this is all fabricated. Deepfakes. Lies. She smiled. That's why I brought receipts. A man walked onto stage. This is Chief Inspector Adibeo from the EFCC. Chief, are these documents authentic? We've verified every document, every recording, every piece of evidence. It's all real. And it's all admissible in court. And what's your conclusion? The Oladil family is guilty of fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. He turned to the audience. Which is why we're here tonight. EFCC agents moved through the ballroom toward table 47. The Oladilis tried to stand, to run, but there was nowhere to go. Sigan Oladil, you're under arrest for fraud. Click. Handcuffs. Fulek Oladil, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. Click. Daniel Oladil, you're under arrest for money laundering. Click. The room exploded. People were standing on chairs to see better. The cameras were capturing everything. This would be played on every news channel for weeks. As they led him past the stage, Sigan broke free for a moment. Please, he shouted at Zainab. Please. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Don't do this. She looked at him calmly. You did this to yourself when you chose greed over family. Our daughter. Think about our daughter. I'm showing her that actions have consequences. That patience wins. That her grandmother's death will not go unpunished. This is revenge. No, Zainab said quietly. This is justice. Revenge would be poisoning you like you poisoned my mother. This is just truth. As the EFCC led the Oladilis out in handcuffs, something unexpected happened. Someone started clapping. Then another person. Then another. Within seconds, the entire ballroom was on its feet. 500 people giving a standing ovation. Not for the arrest. For Zainab. For the washerwoman's daughter who'd brought down a criminal empire. For the woman who turned patience into power. For the mother who'd protected her child by destroying those who threatened them. When the applause finally died down, Zainab returned to the microphone. The Ibn Adisa Foundation will use recovered assets from this criminal enterprise to help women and children across Nigeria. The mission statement appeared on screen. No woman should face betrayal alone. No child should grow up without justice. No family should be destroyed by greed. We've already helped 247 women leave abusive situations. We've provided legal aid, housing, job training, and hope. And we're just getting started. More applause. My mother used to say, let people reveal who they are, then show them what you're made of. She looked at the cameras. Tonight, I showed them. And tomorrow, we build something better from the ashes of what they destroyed. But tonight is also a celebration. Baby Ibn was brought back on stage. A massive cake was wheeled out, 3 tiers of white and gold. My daughter turns 1 today. She'll grow up without a father, but she'll grow up knowing her worth. She held Ibn up, and the baby laughed, reaching for the lights. She'll know her grandmother was a genius who hid in plain sight. She'll know her mother refused to break when the world tried to destroy her. And she'll know that patient women don't just eat the fattest bone, they take the whole table. The room erupted again. One last thing, Zainab said as the celebration continued around her. My mother left me a message for tonight. On screen, a handwritten letter appeared. My dearest Zainab. If you're reading this at the foundation launch, then you've done what I always knew you would, you've won. Not because you destroyed them, but because you built something better. The foundation isn't about revenge. It's about making sure no other woman faces what we faced alone. I'm proud of you. I love you. And I'm watching. Tell my granddaughter her grandmother loved her before she was even conceived. Forever and always. Mama. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. As the party continued, people eating, drinking, discussing the drama they'd witnessed, Zainab stood on the balcony with baby Ibn. We did it, Mama, she whispered to the night sky. They thought they buried you. But you were a seed. And tonight, your tree bore fruit. Her phone buzzed with messages. You're an inspiration. The bravest woman in Nigeria. Your mother would be so proud. But one message stood out. From a number she didn't recognize. Your mother saved my life. I was another Oladil victim. Thank you for giving us justice. Then another. My husband left me like Sigan left you. Your story gives me hope. And another. The foundation saved my children. God bless you. Message after message from women who'd been broken, abandoned, betrayed. Women who now had hope because one washerwoman's daughter refused to break. Within an hour, the story was everywhere. Billionaire's daughter destroys criminal empire at birthday party. Oladil family arrested in dramatic foundation launch. The washerwoman's revenge, how patience became power. Murdered mother's evidence sends killers to prison. Social media went insane. Hashtag Justice for Ibn, 2.3 million posts. Hashtag The Washerwoman's Daughter, 1.8 million posts. Hashtag Patience is Power, 3.1 million posts. Hashtag Oladil Takedown, 5.2 million posts. Videos of the arrest had 10 million views in 2 hours. At midnight, as the party wound down, Zainab received a call from the prison. It was Sigan. How does it feel? He asked, his voice broken. To destroy your daughter's father. How did it feel? She responded, to hand divorce papers to your pregnant wife at her mother's funeral. Silence. How did it feel to plan my mother for insurance money? More silence. How did it feel to call my mother nobody while standing on her grave? I'm sorry, he whispered. Sorry you got caught. No. Sorry I became this person. Sorry I let greed poison everything good in my life. Save your sorries for the judge. You'll need them. She hung up. That night, as Zainab tucked baby Ibn into her crib, she felt something she hadn't felt in a year. Peace. Complete, absolute peace. The Oladilis were in prison. The foundation was funded. Her daughter was safe. Her mother's murder was avenged. Justice had been served with receipts, evidence, and public humiliation. Your grandmother was right, she whispered to sleeping Ibon. Patience really is the greatest weapon. She looked at the portrait of Mama Ibon on the wall. Rest now, Mama. Your work is done. Mine is just beginning. Tomorrow, she'd wake up to a new Nigeria. One where the Oladilis were gone and the Ibon Adise Foundation was rising. But tonight, she'd sleep the sleep of the victorious. The patient dog had finally eaten. And the feast was glorious. What happened next would trend on Twitter for 6 months straight. Not 6 days. Not 6 weeks. 6 months. Because Zainab wasn't done. The arrests were just the appetizer. The main course was about to be served. And it would destroy not just the Oladilis, but 17 other powerful families who thought they were untouchable. Before the Oladilis are taken away, Zainab said into the microphone, her voice cutting through the chaos, I have one more thing to show you. She clicked her remote. What appeared on the screen made the Minister of Petroleum, sitting at table 12, faint. Actually faint. Hit the floor like a sack of rice. Because his signature was all over the documents now displayed in high definition. The Oladilis weren't going down alone. They were taking everyone with them. My mother discovered something fascinating, Zainab continued, as paramedics rushed to help the collapsed minister. The Oladilis weren't walking alone. A web diagram appeared on screen. The Oladilis at the center. Branches spreading out to names that made people gasp. Minister of Petroleum. 3 bank CEOs. 7 government contractors. 2 judges. 5 police commissioners. 14 business tycoons. This wasn't just fraud. It was a syndicate. The room was in chaos. People were checking if their names were on that web. Phones were ringing frantically. Some people were literally running for the exits. But the doors were locked. No one leaves until we are done, Chief Inspector Adibeo announced. We have questions for several guests. Let me show you how deep this goes, Zainab said calmly. Document after document appeared on screen. Contract #1, Phantom Fuel Import worth 500 million Nigerian nairas. Signed by Minister Johnson, approved by Judge Adelik, payment processed through Sterling Bank, CEO Mr. Taiwo. Contract #2, road construction that never happened. 800 million Nigerian nairas. Commissioner Bayo certified completion. The road doesn't exist. Contract #3, medical supplies that were never delivered. 300 million Nigerian nairas. The hospitals are still waiting. Each revelation was a punch. Each document was a nail in someone's coffin. 23 billion naira, Zainab announced. That's the total stolen by this network over 8 years. Nigeria Naira 23,000,000,000. While hospitals lack equipment. While schools crumble. While roads kill people. They stole enough to transform entire states. Judge Adelik, who'd been sitting proudly at table 8, stood up. This is slander, he shouted. I'll sue you for everything you have. Please do, Zainab smiled. But first, let's listen to this. Audio played. Judge Adelik's voice, the Oladipo case comes to me next week. Don't worry. I'll make sure it disappears. Just like the last 3. Mrs. Oladipo's voice, the usual arrangement. 10 million. Swiss account. Done. The judge sat down. Or rather, collapsed. His wife was already gathering her purse, trying to distance herself. Mr. Taiwo, Zainab addressed the Sterling Bank CEO directly. You're probably wondering how I got your private banking records. The man was sweating through his $1,000 suit. My mother was a genius with numbers. She traced every illegal transaction. Bank statements flooded the screens. Money moving from government accounts to phantom companies to private accounts in Dubai, Switzerland, and the Cayman Islands. 347 fraudulent transactions. All authorized by you. The EFCC agents were taking notes, recording names. Your wife's shopping sprees in Paris. Funded by stolen fuel subsidy money. On screen, credit card statements. Mrs. Taiwo spending 50 million Nigerian nairas in one weekend at French boutiques. Your son's Harvard tuition. Paid with funds meant for children's hospitals. Receipt after receipt appeared. You stole from sick children to send your son to America. Someone in the crowd shouted, "Animal." Police Commissioner Bale tried to run. Actually ran for the exit. 2 EFCC agents stopped him. "Sir, we need you to remain seated." "I have immunity," he screamed. "I'm a police commissioner." Chief Inspector Adibeo corrected. Past tense. Your immunity was revoked an hour ago. On screen, documents showing the commissioner had been taking bribes to ignore the Oladile's crimes. 5 million Nigerian nairas monthly for looking the other way. Audio played. Commissioner Bale, my officers won't investigate. I've made sure of that. Sigen's voice, what if someone goes to the press? Then they'll have an accident. Like that journalist last year. The room went cold. David Okoro, Zainab said quietly. 28 years old. Investigating the full subsidy scam. His photo appeared on screen. Young. Bright-eyed. Full of hope. Found dead in his apartment. Ruled a suicide. Police photos appeared. The room gasped in horror. Except David was left-handed. The gun was in his right hand. David was investigating the Oladiles. He'd found evidence. So Commissioner Bale had him killed. She played another recording. Commissioner, the journalist problem is handled. Mrs. Oladile, clean. Suicide. No questions. Good. Payment sent. David's mother was in the audience. She screamed. Not in shock. In recognition. I knew it, she cried. I knew my son didn't kill himself. She collapsed, sobbing. Thank you. Thank you for proving it. One of the contractors, Mr. Abubakar, suddenly stood up. I want to confess, he shouted. I'll tell everything. The room turned to stare. They made me do it. The Oladiles. They said if I didn't create fake companies, they'd destroy my family. Sit down, Abubakar, someone hissed. No. I'm tired of living in fear. I'll testify. I have documents. I have recordings. I kept everything as insurance. He pulled out a flash drive, holding it up. Everything's on here. Every crime. Every payment. Every murder. Murder, someone shouted. 3 more journalists. 2 government auditors. Anyone who got close to the truth. The EFCC agents surrounded him immediately. Not to arrest, to protect. He'd just become their star witness. The wives of the accused were having varied reactions. Mrs. Taiwo, crying, mascara running, $1,000 dress ruined by tears. Mrs. Johnson, stone-faced, already calling her divorce lawyer. Mrs. Bale, screaming at her husband, you told me it was legal. Judge Adolik's wife, gone. She'd slipped out during the chaos. One wife, Mrs. Ogunjimi, stood up. I'm divorcing him tonight. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. She looked at Zainab. My children, they're innocent. Please. The children are innocent, Zainab said firmly. The foundation will ensure they are protected. It's not their fault their fathers are criminals. Suddenly, the ballroom doors opened. Bisola walked in. But not the Bisola they knew. This one looked broken. No makeup. Simple clothes. Eyes red from crying. She walked straight to the microphone. I want to testify, she said quietly. I want to tell everything. The room held its breath. The Oladilis have used me 5 times. 5 marriages destroyed. 5 families broken. She pulled out a notebook. I kept records. Names. Dates. Payments. All of it. She looked at the cameras. To every woman whose marriage I destroyed, I'm sorry. I was young, stupid, and greedy. But I'm done being their weapon. She held up the notebook. Every crime is in here. Including. She paused, the mother of my sister. What? My sister was Grace Adelic. The government auditor who got too close to the truth. Grace Adelic. The second person Mama's letter had mentioned as murdered. They killed her because she found the fraud. Then they recruited me, her own sister, to work for them. They said if I didn't help them, they'd frame me for her murder. She was sobbing now. I've been their slave for 3 years. Destroying marriages while they held my sister's death over my head. She looked at Sigan, still in handcuffs. You were the easiest. You wanted to betray your wife. I barely had to try. Sigan looked like he'd been slapped. The pregnancy was fake, yes. But your eagerness to leave Zainab. That was all you. Before we finish, Zainab announced, my mother left one final gift. She pulled out a hard drive. Every document. Every recording. Every piece of evidence. Uploaded to the cloud and sent to 20 news organizations worldwide. On screen, screenshots of news sites already publishing the stories. BBC, massive Nigerian corruption scandal exposed. CNN, the washerwoman who brought down a criminal empire. Al Jazeera, 23 billion Nigerian naira's fraud exposed at birthday party. It's too late to suppress this. Too late to bribe anyone. Too late to threaten. The world is watching. She looked at the accused. You thought you were untouchable because you controlled the system. But my mother knew something you didn't. The internet doesn't care about your connections. What happened next looked like a movie. EFCC agents moved through the ballroom systematically. Minister Johnson, you're under arrest. Click. Mr. Taiwo, you're under arrest. Click. Commissioner Bayo, you're under arrest. Click. Judge Adelic, you're under arrest. Click. 17 arrests in total. 17 powerful people in handcuffs. 17 empires falling in one night. As they led him past Zainab one final time, Sigan completely broke. I loved you, he screamed. I did love you. Before the money, before my parents, I loved you. Zainab looked at him with something almost like pity. No, Sigan. You loved the idea of me. Submissive. Grateful. Inferior. The moment you realized I might be more, you chose to destroy me. That's not true. You took out life insurance planning to kill me. That was my mother's idea. And you signed it. You, who claimed to love me, signed papers to profit from my death. She held up baby Ibn. Look at your daughter, Sigan. Look at her. He looked. The baby stared back with those wise eyes. She'll grow up knowing her father chose money over her life. That's your legacy. They dragged him away, still screaming apologies that no one believed. Mrs. Oladil, being led out in handcuffs, stopped in front of Zainab. You think you've won, she hissed. You've destroyed your daughter's heritage. No, Zainab replied calmly. I freed her from it. She'll never have to wash blood off money. Never have to wonder if her wealth came from dead journalists and stolen fuel. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not seeing who you were sooner. Mrs. Oladil tried to spit at her. The EFCC agent pulled her away. Enjoy prison, Zainab called after her. I hear the uniforms are quite uncomfortable. Almost like a washerwoman's clothes. As the criminals were led away, the remaining guests, the innocent ones, stood up again. But this time, the applause was different. Slower. More respectful. Almost reverent. They were applauding not just justice, but courage. The courage to stand alone against power. The courage to fight when everyone says you lose. The courage to use patience as a weapon. Minister Adewale, one of the few clean politicians, spoke. In 30 years of public service, I've never seen anything like this. You didn't just expose corruption. You gave us hope that it can be exposed. The recovered assets from these crimes will fund the foundation for the next 50 years, Zainab announced. On screen, the foundation's expanded mission. Free legal aid for victims of corruption. Safe houses for threatened witnesses. Education funds for children of murdered journalists. Support for whistleblowers. A journalism institute in David Okoro's name. My mother died for this truth. David Okoro died for this truth. Grace Adelik died for this truth. Tonight, their deaths mean something. People started standing up, one by one. My husband was killed for investigating them. Thank you for justice. They destroyed my father's business when he wouldn't pay bribes. Thank you. My daughter died in a hospital that had no equipment because they stole the money. Thank you. Story after story. Life after life destroyed by greed. All finding closure in this moment. Zainab's phone was buzzing constantly. International news organizations wanting interviews. Foreign governments offering support. Human rights organizations offering partnerships. The Swiss government announcing they would freeze all accounts linked to the scandal. The FBI offering to help trace assets in America. The British government promising cooperation on London properties. The world was watching. And the world was acting. My daughter will grow up in a Nigeria where these 17 people are in prison, Zainab said, holding Ibn up. She'll grow up knowing her grandmother was a hero who died collecting evidence. She'll grow up understanding that patience and planning defeat violence and greed. And she'll grow up with 2.8 billion reasons to continue this fight. Baby Ibn, as if understanding, clapped her tiny hands. The room laughed through their tears. Someone raised a champagne glass. To Mama Ibn. Tio Mama Ibn, the room echoed. To the washerwoman who washed away corruption. To the woman who hid strength in humility. To the mother who protected her daughter from the grave. Glasses raised high. Tears flowed freely. And somewhere, somehow, everyone felt Mama Ibn's presence. Watching. Smiling. Finally at peace. 5 years later, a little girl walked into her classroom at the American International School, Abuja. My name is Ibn Adisa, she said confidently. My grandmother was a billionaire who pretended to be poor. My mother destroyed a criminal empire at my first birthday party. And my father is in prison for trying to kill us. The teacher's coffee mug slipped from her hand. The other children stared in AWE. Would you like to see the video? Little Ibn asked, pulling out an iPad. It has 50 million views on YouTube. This is what happened to everyone after that legendary night. This is how one woman's patience became Nigeria's most famous justice story. This is how the washerwoman's daughter became the most powerful woman in Africa. The Ibn Adisa Foundation wasn't just successful. It was a revolution. Headquarters, a 30-story building in central Abuja, built on land that once belonged to the Oladilis. Branches, 36 states, 147 offices. Staff, 3,000 employees, 60% women who'd been helped by the foundation. Annual budget, 50 billion Nigerian nairas, from recovered assets and donations. People helped, 48,592 women and children. But the numbers didn't tell the real story. The real story was in the lives transformed. In the foundation's lobby hung photographs. Each one a woman who'd been saved, now saving others. Amara Okafor, divorced at her father's funeral, now runs the foundation's legal department. Has won 743 cases. Fatima Ibrahim, husband vanished with her savings, now heads the financial literacy program. Has taught 10,000 women to invest. Grace Okonkwo, thrown out while pregnant, now manages safe houses. Has sheltered 5,000 women. Each story a testament to resurrection. Each woman proof that breaking doesn't mean broken. Sigen Oladil, serving 25 years at Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison. His days were spent in a 6x8 cell, remembering the mansion he'd lost. He'd aged 20 years in 5. Grey hair. Hollow eyes. The weight of regret crushing him daily. He wrote letters to Ibn every week. None were delivered. Zainab had been clear, when she's 18, she can decide if she wants contact. Until then, you don't exist. Mrs. Oladil, serving 30 years for murder conspiracy. The woman who'd won diamonds now wore prison grey. Her cellmate was a woman named Comfort, whose husband the Oladilis had destroyed. Funny how life works, Comfort would say daily. You destroyed my family. Now we're family. The irony was lost on no one. Mr. Oladil died in prison 2 years into his sentence. Heart attack. Real this time. His funeral was attended by 7 people. The empire he'd built with blood was distributed to his victims by the court. Bisola Bennett had surprised everyone. After testifying against the Oladilis, she disappeared. Then returned transformed. She now ran a support group for women who'd been the other woman. I was a weapon, she'd tell her groups. Used to destroy marriages. But weapons can be reforged. She'd returned the 30 million Nigerian nairas to Zainab. Started a YouTube channel exposing how married men manipulate young women. 3 million subscribers. Her most viral video, How They Made Me Destroy Marriages for Money, 25 million views. She'd never married. I've destroyed enough marriages. I won't risk destroying my own. Senator Danladi Bello had kept his promise. Publicly, he couldn't acknowledge Zainab. Privately, he was grandfather of the year. He'd set up a trust fund for Ibn, 500 million Nigerian nairas. Visited monthly, always discreetly. Taught her chess. Politics is chess, it'd say. Your mother played the longest game I've ever seen. His legitimate children had found out, of course. The scandal nearly ended his career. But he'd stood firm. I was a coward for 28 years. I won't be one anymore. Zainab hadn't just become famous in Nigeria. She'd become a global icon. Time magazine, the 100 most influential people, her photo on the cover. Nobel Peace Prize, nominated 3 times for her anti-corruption work. UN Goodwill Ambassador, fighting corruption globally. TED Talk, How My Mother's Death Gave Life to Thousands, 40 million views. Book deal, 300 million Nigerian nairas advance for her autobiography. Netflix documentary, The Washerwoman's Daughter, watched in 190 countries. But she remained in Nigeria. This is where the work is, she'd say. This is where Mama's buried. This is home. 5-year-old Ibon was a force of nature. Brilliant like her grandmother. Fearless like her mother. She spoke 4 languages, English, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. I need to talk to all Nigerians, she'd explain. She knew her story. All of it. Some children have fairy tales, she'd say. I have truth. Truth is more powerful. At school events, other parents would stare. That's the Ibn Adisa's daughter. The one from the video. The billionaire baby. But little Ibn didn't care about whispers. She had her mother's confidence and her grandmother's wisdom. 3 years after the trial, Zainab had shocked everyone. She'd adopted a child. A boy named David, after the mother journalist. His parents had been killed investigating corruption. Every child deserves justice, she'd said. And love. And a chance. David was now 7, Ibn's protective big brother. Anyone who messes with my sister, he'd say firmly, messes with the entire Adisa empire. The adoption had made headlines. The woman who destroyed her enemies now saves their victims' children. Everyone wondered, would Zainab remarry? She'd had suitors. Hundreds of them. Ministers. Billionaires. Even a prince from Dubai. But she'd refused them all. I'm not against love, she told Oprah in an interview. But I'm no longer desperate for it. If it comes, it must come correct. With respect. With truth. With someone who sees my strength as an asset, not a threat. There were rumors about a quiet relationship with a human rights lawyer from Ghana. But Zainab kept her private life private. My mother's story was public. My revenge was public. My love would be mine alone. From prison, the Oladilis had tried everything. Appeals, all rejected. Bribes, the judges were too scared of public opinion. Escape attempt, Sigan tried once. Was caught. 10 years added to his sentence. Suicide attempt, Mrs. Oladil tried twice. Was put on suicide watch. Media sympathy, they paid for articles painting them as victims. The public wasn't buying it. Every attempt to return to power failed. The Adisa name was too strong. The evidence was too complete. The public memory was too fresh. The Netflix documentary had changed everything. Suddenly, the whole world knew the story. Tourism to Nigeria increased 15%, people wanting to see where it happened. The cemetery where Mama Ibn was buried became a pilgrimage site. Women would leave flowers and notes. Your daughter gave me courage. Your sacrifice saved my life. Rest in power, Mama. The government had to assign security to the grave. Too many people were visiting. The scandal had forced change. New laws against forced marriage dissolution. Stricter penalties for corruption. Protection for whistleblowers. The Ibn Adisa law, making it illegal to serve legal papers at funerals. The David Okoro law, protecting journalists investigating corruption. The Grace Adelik law, protecting government auditors. Each law a memorial to the dead. Each reform a step toward justice. Zainab's success had inspired others. Women across Africa were investigating their husbands' corruption. Divorce parties where women exposed criminal evidence became a trend. #Patience over panic became a movement. Support groups called Daughters of Ibn formed in 12 countries. A university course was created, the Adisa method, strategic patience in combat against corruption. But Zainab warned against revenge without purpose. Don't destroy just to destroy. Build something better from the ashes. Every year on the anniversary of the foundation launch, Nigeria stopped. It became an unofficial holiday, Justice Day. The event was broadcast nationally. Awards were given to corruption fighters. Stories were shared of lives transformed. And every year, they played the video of that first revelation. New generations watching, learning, understanding that patience was power. On Ibn's 5th birthday, Sigon made a formal request. Please. Let me see her. Just once. I'm dying. He was. Liver failure from the prison's poor conditions. Doctors gave him 6 months. Zainab read the request to Ibn. Do you want to meet your biological father? 5-year-old Ibn thought carefully. Will it help him? It might give him peace. Will it hurt you, Mama? I can handle it. Then yes. But only once. And you come with me. The meeting lasted 30 minutes. Sigan, skeletal and dying, wept when he saw his daughter. You're so beautiful, he whispered. So strong. Like your mother. I know, Ibn said simply. Mama tells me every day. I'm sorry. For everything. I know that too. Mama says sorry without change is just noise. Even at 5, she was devastating. What can I do? How can I make it right? You can't, Ibn said. Some things can't be fixed. But Mama says you can do one thing. Anything. Die knowing your daughter will never be like you. Die knowing the Addison name will mean honor while Oladiu means shame. Die knowing you had heaven and chose hell. She stood to leave. Goodbye, Mr. Sigan. I won't see you again. 3 weeks later, Sigan died. He left a letter for Zainab. You won. Completely. Totally. Deservedly. I spent 5 years hating you for destroying me. But the truth is, I destroyed myself the moment I chose greed over love. You were perfect, and I was too blind to see it. Raise our daughter to be everything I wasn't. Tell her that her father died understanding that he was the villain in our story. And that's exactly what he deserved to be. Sigan. Zainab read it once. Then filed it away. When Ibn turned 18, she could read it. Or not. Her choice. Little Ibn and David were being raised differently. No luxury without purpose. They flew economy unless business required otherwise. No privilege without responsibility. They volunteered at the foundation weekly. No wealth without wisdom. They studied their grandmother's recordings and notes. You're inheriting more than money, Zainab would tell them. You're inheriting a mission. They understood. At school presentations about heroes, David would talk about David Okoro. Ibn would talk about her grandmother. She died so others could live free, she'd say proudly. The foundation was going international. Ghana, helping women escape corrupt marriages. Kenya, protecting journalists. South Africa, supporting whistleblowers. London, tracing stolen African wealth. New York, lobbying for anti-corruption laws. Dubai, investigating money laundering. The Ibn Adisa Foundation wasn't just Nigerian anymore. It was becoming a global force against corruption. With Zainab as its unstoppable leader. The rumors were true. Dr. Kwame Asante, the Ghanaian human rights lawyer, had won Zainab's heart. But it had taken him 3 years of patience. You played the long game, she'd laughed when she finally agreed to date him. I learned from the best, he'd replied. Your mother wrote the playbook on patience. He was everything Sigan wasn't. Humble despite his success. Supportive without being threatened. A father figure to Ibn and David without trying to replace anyone. If we marry, Zainab had warned, you're marrying the revolution. I'm not marrying despite the revolution, he'd replied. I'm marrying because of it. They'd been dating quietly for 2 years when he proposed. Not with a ring initially. With a document. What's this? Zainab asked. A prenup. Protecting everything you've built. Making clear that your empire remains yours. You're proposing with a prenup? I'm proposing with proof that I understand who you are and what you've built. The ring comes after you've had your lawyers review this. She'd laughed until she cried. Then said yes. The wedding was small. Private. Perfect. Only 50 guests. No social media. No press. Just family, real friends, and Mama Ibn's portrait. Little Ibn was the flower girl, David the ring bearer. Senator Bello walked her down the aisle, privately, finally able to be her father. The reception was at the foundation. Instead of gifts, donations to help more women. 500 million Nigerian nairas raised in one night. 10 years after the cemetery betrayal, Zainab stood at her mother's grave. Now it was marble. Beautiful. Befitting a queen. We did it, Mama, she whispered. Everything you planned. Everything you dreamed. She placed fresh flowers, birds of paradise, her mother's favorite. Sigan is dead. His parents are broken. The corrupt are in prison. The foundation has helped thousands. The wind rustled through the cemetery. I found love again. Real love. Patient love. The kind you deserved. Your grandchildren are brilliant. Fearless. They carry your name with pride. And me. I'm no longer the abandoned wife. I'm the woman who refused to break. She kissed her fingers, touched the headstone. Thank you, Mama. For the patience. For the empire. For showing me that sometimes, the best revenge is a life well lived. That night, Zainab wrote her own letter to her children. My dear Ibn and David. One day, I'll be gone like your grandmother. When that day comes, remember this. Power isn't in money. It's in patience. Strength isn't in revenge. It's in building something better. Wisdom isn't in knowing everything. It's in learning from everything. Your grandmother taught me that when people show you who they are, believe them. But she also taught me something else. When you show people who you are, make sure it's someone worthy of the name Adisa. Be patient like your grandmother. Be strategic like your mother. Be fearless like yourselves. And always, always remember. You are the grandchildren of a woman who turned washing clothes into building empires. You are the children of a woman who turned abandonment into advancement. You are the legacy of women who refuse to break. Live accordingly. All my love. Mama. As Zainab sealed the letter for her children to read someday, her phone rang. Another woman. Another betrayal. Another family destroyed by greed. Hello, Mrs. Adisa. My name is Folek. My husband just divorced me at our child's naming ceremony. His family says I'm worthless. I heard about your foundation. Can you help? Zainab smiled, remembering her own pain 10 years ago. Yes, she said simply. We can help. But first, let me tell you about patience. Let me tell you about a washerwoman named Ibn who conquered an empire with silence and time. Let me tell you how your pain can become your power. Let me tell you about the gift of being underestimated. And as she began the story, her mother's story, her story, now this woman's story, the cycle continued. The revolution expanded. The legacy grew. Somewhere in heaven, Mama Ibn watched and smiled. Her daughter had become everything she'd planned and more. The patient dog hadn't just eaten the fattest bone. She'd bought the entire slaughterhouse. And now she was teaching other dogs to do the same. One betrayed woman at a time. One corrupt family at a time. One revolution at a time. The washerwoman's revenge was complete. But the washerwoman's legacy, that was eternal. 10 years after the foundation launch. Women helped, 147,892. Children educated, 89,456. Corrupt officials imprisoned, 347. Money recovered, 487 billion Nigerian nairas. Marriages saved through counseling, 12,456. Journalists protected, 89. Whistleblowers supported, 234. Countries with foundation offices, 17. Lives transformed, countless. Asterisk the Adisa Empire asterisk. Net worth, 12.7 billion Nigerian nairas and growing. Employees, 7,500 worldwide. Annual budget, 200 billion Nigerian nairas. Success rate in legal cases, 94%. Documentary views, 500 million. Book sales, 10 million copies. TED Talk views, 100 million. Asterisk the human cost asterisk. Sigen Oladil, dead at 39. Mrs. Oladil, life in prison, aged 67. Mr. Oladil, dead at 70. Other conspirators, 15 dead, 32 in prison. Bisola, reformed, helping others heal. Asterisk the family asterisk. Zainab, 38, married, global icon. Ibn, 10, brilliant, fearless. David, 12, protective, justice-focused. Dr. Kwame, supportive husband, human rights warrior. Asterisk Mama Ibn's grave inscription asterisk. Here lies Ibn Adisa. Washerwoman. Mother. Revolutionary. She turned patience into power. And power into justice. Her daughter finished what she started. Her legacy will never end. Hashtag the final message. To every woman reading this who's been betrayed, abandoned, underestimated. Your patience is not weakness. Your silence is not acceptance. Your planning is not plotting. You are not broken. You are loading. And when you're ready, when the moment is perfect, you show them exactly what they lost when they underestimated you. Be like Mama Ibn. Be like Zainab. Be patient. Be strategic. Be unstoppable. The revolution doesn't end with this story. It begins with you. The end.